Chapter 1219. Just as Lu Kuan turned his head, Xiao Jin, who was charred black, let out a painful howl. It covered its ears with its paws, and traces of golden light flashed between its fingers. What's wrong with Xiao Jin? Wait a minute, my bloodline connection with it. Lu Kuan looked at this scene, and his bloodline inexplicably throbbed. Ever since he broke through to the middle stage of bone transformation and fused most of the long-armed demon ape's bloodline with his own blood, the connection between him and the little monkey had weakened by a lot. But now, the connection between the two was growing at an astonishing speed. Xiao Jin half knelt on the ground, and its eyes were bloodshot. It roared, Lu Kuan bloodline. Lu Kuan's expression changed. His body flashed, and he quickly came to the little monkey's side. The blood in his body churned, and he opened his mouth slightly, and a fist-sized ball of blood essence floated out. Xiao Jin's curled-up body seemed to sense something, and a golden light surged out of its body, swallowing up the silver ball of blood essence. Then, the little monkey was wrapped up in a layer of golden light. Lu Kuan saw this scene, and his eyes flashed with anticipation. Through the connection between their bloodlines, he felt that the six-eared macaque bloodline in Xiao Jin's body was on the verge of transformation, and it urgently needed the help of his blood essence. It just passed the fifth heavenly tribulation, and it should be the same as me. The life force that entered its body has already fused with all its demonic energy. Although it hasn't passed the heavenly tribulation, from the perspective of energy in its body, it has officially entered the early stage of bone transformation. Is it because of this that the bloodline in its body has begun to transform? It wasn't just Lu Kuan. Everyone's gaze was also on the little monkey. Yu Longfei sent a message with his consciousness. Pavilion Master, is Xiao Jin all right? The interval between the lightning tribulations is getting shorter, and the sixth heavenly tribulation is about to come out. Upon hearing this, Lu Kuan looked up at the two remaining tribulation clouds in the sky. The surrounding heaven-earth yuan qi was gathering towards them. The vortex in the dark clouds was spinning faster and faster. He sensed his bloodline again, and his lips moved slightly. Just as he was about to reply, a smug divine thought suddenly transmitted to him. Lu Kuan, old you, how could anything happen to me? The next lightning tribulation is nothing. When Lu Kuan and Yu Longfei heard this, they heaved a sigh of relief at first, but then they looked surprised. Because they were far away, they were using their spiritual sense to communicate with each other. How could the little monkey hear them? Could it be that this little fellow was already able to intercept the spiritual sense transmissions of great cultivators? The two of them couldn't help but look up. The golden light outside Xiao Jin's body gradually retracted into his body, revealing a brand new figure. His height had grown again, reaching 5 feet tall. The originally charred hair had been restored to its original state, flashing with a dark golden luster. The ears on both sides of his head had completely turned into 4 ears. On the small ears, there was a golden edge inlaid with a few mysterious runes. These 2 pairs of ears were trembling slightly, emitting a thin golden halo. Then Lu Kuan discovered that the little monkey's divine soul had suddenly disappeared. If it weren't for the connection between their bloodlines, he would even think that Xiao Jin had died. Could it have learned that magical power? Boom! At this moment, the tribulation clouds in the sky brewed to the extreme. 2 thick lightning balls like dragons fell, blasting towards the monkey and the demon respectively. The power of this 6th lightning tribulation was the same as the power of Duan Iyun just now. It contained the destructive power of the peak of the middle nascent soul stage, and at the same time, it was supported by a layer of heaven-earth yuan qi. Hong Yintian looked at this attack and snorted coldly. The huge demonic zombie body soared into the sky and took the initiative to meet it. He raised one hand above his head, and a layer of black light film surged outside the purple-black scales. Layers of invisible waves turned into flowing water, rotating outside his body. The heaven-earth yuan qi that was gathered by the lightning tribulation seemed to be attracted by something. Most of it was separated and added to his right fist, turning into a layer of black halo, exuding the unique pressure of a great cultivator. Hong Yuntian's demonic zombie body had a strength of 1,200,000 pounds. He directly used the jewel fist combat skill, and the fist with bone spurs fiercely bombarded the lightning dragon. The terrifying heaven-earth yuan qi halo intertwined together. With the use of the jewel fist combat skill, the heaven-earth yuan qi of the lightning tribulation was flowing away at a speed visible to the naked eye. Under this situation, the lightning dragon's aura quickly dimmed. On the other side, the little monkey's arms had already expanded, and it used the connecting arms technique. It stood on the ground, looking at the lightning dragon rushing down from the sky, and an extremely brutal aura gradually emerged around its body. The power of the bloodline in its body, mixed with the will of the true demon, collided with its chest in a special way. It took a deep breath, its thick monkey fists hammered its chest, and its mouth suddenly opened. Roar! Accompanied by an earth-shaking roar, a spiral ripple rushed to the sky. The surrounding heaven-earth yuan qi added to the ripple, forming a purple-black spiral halo, and bombarded the lightning dragon head-on. The lightning dragon trembled slightly, and the destructive power inside seemed to have fallen into a state of stagnation. After a few seconds of stalemate, it collapsed directly. The heaven-earth yuan qi halo of the two sides also extinguished each other and dissipated in the air. The sixth lightning tribulation was directly broken. Sky-piercing roar. Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with surprise and joy. Xiaojin's sky-piercing roar is exactly the same as the one I'm using now. Not only is its power concentrated, but it can also integrate the power of the void. If a great cultivator is not aware of it, I'm afraid they will be severely injured. Its spirit ear technique has obviously advanced. Not only can it eavesdrop on divine sense transmission, it can also learn the divine sense concealment technique. The copy divine sense is also perfectly integrated with its own body. Lu Kuan exclaimed at his heart. Since the sky-piercing roar can be used smoothly, then the devil-ape transformation can also be used. This little guy should have no problem passing the tribulation. At this time, Hong Yuntian also shattered the lightning tribulation. Sensing the power of Xiao Jin's divine sense, he could not help but look over. He looked at the other party's four golden-rimmed ears, and then looked at the lightning tribulation that was shattered by the sky-piercing roar. The tribulation clouds in the sky seemed to have discovered that the lightning tribulation was destroyed immediately. The huge thundercloud vortex spun even more violently, and the heaven and earth yuan qi gathered even more violently. In just 100 breaths of time, the seventh lightning tribulation transformed into a huge ball of lightning and fell straight down. The ball of lightning was filled with an extremely dense power of destruction. It had completely reached the level of a grand cultivator, and the halo of vital energy outside was even denser. Facing this lightning tribulation, Xiao Jin and Hong Yuntian used the same move as before. However, the little monkey's sky-piercing roar was slightly lacking in power. It relied on its battle technique to pass through this lightning tribulation, but its body suffered a lot of damage. Hong Yuntian was much more relaxed. The power of his severing fist battle technique was not inferior to that of a true great cultivator. Moreover, the demonic zombie's defense was extremely strong. The seventh lightning tribulation only charred its scales a little. Lu Kuan looked at this scene and was filled with emotions. The monkey and the demonic zombie's tribulation was much easier than his. The 9-star physique cultivators were familiar with battle techniques, and their strength had completely increased by a level. Unlike him, who could only rely on brute force and lightning resistance to resist. Xiao Jin, Brother Hong, according to the aura of the tribulation clouds, it is very likely that this is the last lightning tribulation. I'm afraid it has reached the level of a great cultivator. You must be careful. Hong Yuntian nodded slightly. His eyes narrowed slightly as he looked at the thundercloud above his head. As for the little monkey, its expression was solemn. It pounded its chest with both hands. Under the circulation of the blood essence and true demonic intent in its body expanded at a speed visible to the naked eye. The dark golden hair on its body also quickly turned black. 6 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet, 25 feet. Just as Lu Kuan had predicted, Xiao Jin used the water of true demonic obtained in the secret realm to perform the demonic ape transformation and turned into a huge black ape. However, compared to Lu Kuan, it was slightly smaller. Rumble. Not long after, 2 bolts of lightning that were thicker than millstones poked out from the 2 tribulation clouds. The terrifying, destructive aura quickly spread in all directions. Chapter 1220. After Xiao Jin had used the demonic ape transformation, his strength had doubled from 300,000 kilograms to 1,200,000 kilograms. Furthermore, because his body had increased by 5 times, the range of his origin energy field had also increased. He was familiar with Lu Kuan's various battle techniques. In this state, even if he didn't use the severing fist battle technique, he could still draw on the heaven and earth essence chi within the huge range of his force field. The giant black ape's body was surrounded by layers of silver light, and the demonic spirit yuan chi gathered towards its 2 huge fists, forming 2 halos, one black and one white. Boom! The moment he approached the lightning tribulation, Xiao Jin suddenly clenched his fists. The 2 types of essence chi power intertwined with each other, erupting with a shocking destructive energy that intertwined with the 8th lightning tribulation. Layers of terrifying air waves surged in all directions. Everyone, including Yu Longfei, retreated into the distance to avoid this terrifying power that was comparable to that of a peak great cultivator. The battle technique Xiao Jin used at this moment was called the Destruction Fist. It was a new technique that Lu Kuan had comprehended. It used the body cultivator to draw on the demonic spirit essence chi at the same time, as well as the characteristics of the fist hardbones. Thus, the strange essence chi exploded in the fists, erupting with a terrifying destructive energy. However, because Xiao Jin's strength was insufficient, the destruction fist barely shattered more than half of the energy in the lightning tribulation. But then, he let out a crazy roar. Invisible spiral ripples mixed with a purplish-black halo fiercely bombarded the lightning pillar that was scattered with spiritual light, causing the latter to stagnate slightly. Taking advantage of this time, Xiao Jin once again condensed new demonic spirit essence chi in his fists. The 2 huge fists continued to bombard the remaining lightning pillar. The violent pressure continued to surge. Under the continuous attacks of various divine abilities, the 8th lightning pillar that was comparable to that of a peak great cultivator was forcibly shattered into pieces. Xiao Jin also suffered a lot of lightning strikes during the process of attacking. His body was full of scorch marks, and even the bone treasures in his body were damaged to a certain extent. After the huge black ape broke through the lightning tribulation, it quickly shrunk and turned into a 5-foot monkey. Its originally bright red monkey face became incomparably pale, and its blood essence was severely depleted. However, when Xiao Jin felt a large amount of life force entering his body, his lips curled into a happy smile. At this time, Lu Kuan had already rushed into the sky to absorb the remaining life force of the thunder tribulation. However, his expression was slightly strange. He didn't know why, but at the moment Xiao Jin succeeded in overcoming the tribulation, he had a feeling of fear in his heart. It was as if the little fellow would pose some sort of threat to him. Strange, why do I have this feeling? It's the consciousness of the divine soul. Lu Kuan's pupils shrank. In his senses, an incomparably venomous will suddenly emerge from the little monkey's bloodline. This will was incomparably powerful and was not inferior to the true demon will. Fortunately, the little monkey immediately used its divine soul concealment ability. This will also only appeared for a moment, and very quickly, it disappeared into the bloodline. Xiao Jin opened his eyes, which flashed with a trace of red light. He was a little uneasy as he said, Lu Kuan, when we were in the mystic realm, a special image appeared in my mind. Just now, there was also Lu Kuan landed beside him and listened to the little monkey's narration. His eyes flashed with surprise. You battled with the intelligent stone monkey? You wanted to devour the other's bloodline? Xiao Jin shrank his head and nodded fearfully. Lu Kuan, do you think that senior intelligent stone monkey's previous life perished together with the six-eared macaque? Then between us, Lu Kuan connected many things in an instant. Needless to say, the six-eared macaque must have been the one who battled with senior intelligent stone monkey. Both sides were proficient in spells and remarkable powers. It was obvious that the six-eared macaque could replicate the intelligent stone monkey's remarkable powers. From Xiao Jin's description, when the six-eared macaque reached a certain level of cultivation, it would most likely devour the remarkable powers that had been replicated. And for some reason, the intelligent stone monkey had no choice but to destroy it. Thus, the two fought endlessly. In the end, the two worldly spiritual monkeys perished together. The intelligent stone monkey borrowed its remarkable powers and fell into the intelligent demon valley, wanting to use its remarkable powers to revive. After the six-eared macaque died, for some reason, its bloodline was passed on to Xiao Jin. In the end, it resonated with Lu Kuan's all-arm bloodline and was completely stimulated. Lu Kuan thought for a while and patted the little monkey's head. He comforted it. Don't think too much. Your physical strength is naturally weaker than mine. Even if we are at the same level, I am confident that I can subdue you. And this is a devouring between bloodlines. With the uniqueness of the body-honing mantra, there must be a solution. Besides, you and I are still too far away from the soul formation stage. Don't worry about it now. Hearing this, Xiao Jin's expression immediately relaxed. From what it knew, there was nothing that Lu Kuan could not handle. Why hasn't Hong Yuntian's thunder tribulation dissipated? Lu Kuan came back to his senses and looked at the sky not far away. He could not help but be stunned. Not only did the dark clouds not dissipate, but they were even thicker. Hong Yuntian stared blankly at the sky. With his strong physical defense and strength, he had successfully passed through the 8th thunder tribulation. However, his physical body had suffered some injuries. He was currently devouring the blood essence that Lu Kuan had given him to recover. There is still one more thunder tribulation. That monkey also has a 9-star physique, but there are only 8. Why do I have a 9-stage thunder tribulation? Now, there was only a huge dark cloud left in the sky. All the demonic Yuan Qi had gathered here. The huge tribulation cloud vortex spun, and the pressure it emitted became stronger and stronger. Even the regions outside the central state could feel this terrifying aura. There are some problems with these tribulations. Although the life force has been integrated into the blood essence and demonic energy, the demonic zombie's body still has a bloodthirsty intent. If Lu Kuan's blood essence is exhausted, it will still attack his divine soul. Wait, this feeling of palpitations. Hong Yuntian's pitch-black eyes looked at his huge body. He muttered, "It seems that this heavenly tribulation is targeting this demonic zombie's body. These scales and bone spurs are trembling." I remember an elder saying that this kind of top demonic general who is proficient in the physical body will face a demonic tribulation when he breaks through to the demonic king realm. However, I have just crossed the threshold of the nascent soul stage. Will I also trigger a demonic tribulation? According to the situation of Lu Kuan's tribulation, the power of the thunder tribulation will suddenly surge to the level of the spirit severing stage. Hong Yuntian's demonic zombie's face suddenly became incomparably dignified. He came from a Yuan school, so he naturally knew the horror of demonic Yuan Qi manifestation. It was simply not on the same level as the nascent soul stage. Although his physical strength was 1.2 million gene, and the demonic zombie's body also had the defensive strength of a great cultivator, it was simply not enough for an attack of this level. At this moment, Lu Kuan's figure flew to a place not far away. He said in a deep voice, "Brother Hong, do your best. Take this axe." As he spoke, a purple gold axe appeared in his hand. It flashed with a deep aura. He directly threw it out. That's right, the demonic weapon. Hong Yuntian and Lu Kuan's divided soul had chatted a lot in the secret realm. He knew that body cultivators could maximize the power of the demonic weapon. His thick palm directly grabbed the purple gold demonic weapon. My vitality and demonic energy is different from their demonic energy. I don't know if it will. The moment he grabbed the demonic weapon, its blade suddenly trembled. A purple-black halo began to flicker. The demonic weapon's soul inside seemed to be abnormally excited, but also seemed to be afraid of something. Hong Yuntian also had some kind of special feeling. He subconsciously injected his vitality and demonic energy into it. Buzz, the purple gold demonic weapon, let out a cry. The surrounding demonic energy gathered toward it. It was directly activated successfully, and a layer of demonic axe light appeared. Rumble. In the span of 100 breaths, the tribulation clouds in the sky suddenly shrank. A terrifying lightning pillar more than 10 feet thick poked out, condensing a thick layer of purple-black halo. The surrounding air seemed to solidify. Hong Yuntian even felt that the vitality and demonic energy in his body was greatly suppressed. Even holding the demonic weapon, he felt waves of trembling. Yu Longfei and the other body cultivators had to retreat a few miles away. Only Lu Kuan could stand nearby and not be affected. Damn, such a terrifying thunder tribulation. How did that guy survive it back then? Hong Yuntian couldn't help but curse in his heart. His mind was rapidly thinking. The severing fist combat technique is obviously not enough. The only thing I can rely on now is this demonic weapon. I have to maximize its power. This demonic weapon alone is not enough. Its power needs to be increased. His demonic zombie face became more and more ferocious. Its scales were squeezed together. Hong Yuntian didn't have lightning resistance. Moreover, the demonic zombie body was an inanimate object. Its recovery ability was insufficient. If it was shattered by the thunder tribulation, his vitality and demonic energy would have no host. It could be said that it was a dead end. That's right. When the vitality entered my body, it didn't have the effect of resisting the bloodthirst. If it can solve the flaw of the demonic zombie body tempering technique, maybe its true effect is thinking of this. Hong Yuntian's eyes suddenly lit up. Chapter 1221. According to the method in his mind, the energy in Hong Yuntian's body quickly surged. The life force that was compatible with his chi, blood, and demonic energy was separated and sent into the demonic zombie's body. Then his chi, blood, and demonic energy crazily circulated, and the huge demonic zombie's body softened and shrunk like a candle, transforming from solid state to a liquid state. At the same time, the source force field around his body violently tumbled, and the invisible force in the air was increasing. 3 million pounds, 4 million pounds, 5 million pounds. With a surge of power, the original demonic zombie's body disappeared and was replaced by a mass of liquid that seemed to be intertwined with all kinds of flesh and blood essence. It was constantly twisting and compressing, turning into a 1-foot-long, 5-fingered palm. It was wrapped in layers of scales and chitin bones, looking extremely sturdy. His fingertips had 5 million gene of formless energy coiling around them. With the support of this terrifying energy, the demonic artifact emitted a terrifying might that was not any weaker than the lightning tribulation. This strange big hand grabbed the purple gold demonic axe and fiercely chopped at the thick lightning pillar falling from the sky. Zap! The purple gold demonic axe chopped into the lightning pillar, and the two energy forms of energy collided with each other. A large amount of demonic aura turned into a circle of terrifying shock waves that spread in all directions. Violent vibrations occurred within a radius of tens of miles. The aftermath of the power of the energy form could even be felt by cultivators thousands of miles away. The 1-foot-long solid palm held the purple gold demonic axe and kept chopping, weakening the destructive energy in a lightning pillar while withstanding the fine lightning bolts at the same time. The two sides intertwined for more than 10 breaths of time before the lightning pillar, wrapped in a thick halo, slowly dissipated. At this time, the palm was hit by the lightning and had dozens of small holes. It seemed to have lost some kind of energy support and fell to the ground together with the purple gold demonic axe. Clang, clang, unlike the crisp sound of the magic weapon falling to the ground. The palm directly turned into a pool of liquid, trembling slightly on the ground. Traces of milky white mist appeared from the void and entered the pool of liquid. Then, the pool of liquid began to squirm. Seeing this, Lu Kuan revealed a look of relief. His figure flashed and directly rushed into the sky. Although Hong Yuntian's current liquid state was even more unbelievable than his skeleton state, Lu Kuan had seen the appearance of his flesh and blood doppelganger. It was clear that Hong Yuntian had survived and successfully passed the lightning tribulation. He kept shuttling back and forth in the sky. The life force produced by the breakthrough of the demonic zombie body refining art was rather special. He couldn't let it dissipate, so he used his divine ability to collect it. At this moment, the liquid on the ground was gradually forming into a blurry human figure, slowly standing up. Within the liquid, there was a faint dark red and purplish-black flesh essence. The purple-black parts gradually condensed into bones, forming the skeletal framework of a human body. The rest of the dark red flesh turned into muscle fibers, blood vessels, and internal organs, intertwining on these bones. Not long after, a man with a long face that was nearly 6 feet tall appeared on the ground. He had a pair of bright black eyes and a cold expression. His bare skin looked like it could be broken by the wind, just like the skin of a woman. However, that bald head appeared to be exceptionally ferocious, and it possessed an imposing aura without being angry. Congratulations to Brother Hong for successfully transcending the tribulation and breaking through. Accompanied by Lu Kuan's hearty voice, a black robe was thrown over. The bald man put on the robe, looked at his human body, and slowly exhaled. His expression was incomparably sorrowful, and his voice was filled with vicissitudes of life. I didn't expect that I would have the chance to restore my body. Hong Yuntian turned to look at Lu Kuan, who was flying over, and said with a slightly solemn expression, "Lu Kuan, I owe you a favor." Lu Kuan smiled slightly and said, "The pavilion's grand elder position is still vacant. If Brother Hong is willing to take this position, consider it as returning the favor." Hong Yuntian looked deeply at Lu Kuan, then slowly nodded and said, "All right, body refining pavilion's grand elder position, I accept." Ha! With Brother Hong's help, the body refining pavilion will be like a tiger that has grown wings. While speaking, Lu Kuan's divine sense gushed out and ordered Yu Longfei and the others to gather the disciples and return. Then he looked at Hong Yuntian's body and asked curiously, "Brother Hong's current physical state doesn't have the aura of a demonic zombie. It seems to be the flesh and blood of a human. How did you do it? Is it related to life, energy?" Hong Yuntian sensed his body's condition and sighed. "Life energy is really wonderful for your body refining arts. This energy is used to stabilize demon energy, but for me, it has a completely different effect. At first, I didn't notice the uniqueness of life energy. It also can't stop the invasion of bloodthirsty will. Its true function is to transform the body of a demonic zombie. Transform it into liquid flesh and blood essence." Hong Yuntian nodded and said, "Yes, as long as life energy is injected into the body of a demonic zombie, and with the support of blood essence and demon energy, the latter will turn from solid to liquid, just like human essence." In other words, with life energy, the flesh and blood energy in my body can be divided into 2 types, human essence and demonic zombie essence. Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with a trace of golden light, as if he had seen something. His expression changed, and he said, "Brother Hong's bones, are they transformed from demonic zombie essence?" Hong Yuntian exclaimed softly, "Your spirit divine art is not simple. You can actually see this. Not bad, I turned the essence of the demonic zombie into liquid form and condensed it into the skeleton. Then, I attached the essence of the human race onto the skeleton. This is how the human body was formed. This transformation process refers to the flesh and blood concentration of your body refining arts and my flesh doppelganger secret technique. He raised his hand, and an invisible force field swayed around his body. In this form, the power exerted is the limit of blood essence and demon energy, 500,000 gene. The force field has a range of 3 feet. Because the bones are condensed from demonic zombie essence, their strength is not inferior to the bone treasures of your body refining arts. Lu Kuan looked at Hong Yuntian's body in surprise and said, "Then at this time, life energy," Hong Yuntian said, "At this time, life energy is all in the bones." Without the support of this kind of heavenly tribulation energy, the demonic zombie essence can't change at all. In that case, if Brother Hong transfers life energy to blood essence and demon energy, you can restore the previous demonic zombie state? Hong Yuntian's eyes flashed with some thought and said, "In the current human form, the demonic zombie essence has been condensed into bones and is 100% integrated with life energy. The bloodthirst seems to have disappeared. This state is weaker, but the soul is the safest. If you transfer life energy," speaking to here, he closed his eyes and a part of the life energy in his body flowed out. The muscles on his body began to expand, and a layer of purple-black scales grew on his white and tender skin. His aura suddenly rose by a level, and an even more turbulent force field spread out. The bone essence of the demonic zombie is still supporting the body. The flesh and blood released and combined with the human body, increasing the strength to 800,000 gene. The defensive power has also increased, but the strength of the bones has decreased, and Hong Yuntian frowned, and a red light flashed in his eyes. At this time, only half of the life energy is stored in the demonic zombie essence, and a lot of bloodthirst is released. Unless you have the protection of your blood essence, you won't be able to maintain this state for long. Lu Kuan said thoughtfully, "In that case, as long as you transfer all of your life energy, you can restore the previous demonic zombie state. Although this state has the strongest combat power, it also suffers the most bloodthirst, and the time it can be maintained is shorter." The state Brother Hong used to break through the tribulation was, hearing this, Hong Yuntian's eyes showed some fear and said, "Facing the power of the Yuan Qi manifestation, this king naturally has to raise his strength to the strongest." At that time, I was thinking, since the life energy can liquefy the demonic zombie essence, then why can't the essence of the two races be assimilated in a short time and raise the level of the physical body's source strength? At that moment of crisis, this Hong Yuntian put everything on the line and exhausted your blood essence, temporarily raising the level of blood essence and demonic qi. In a state of half-devouring the demonic zombie essence, the power of the two combined for a short time, and the physical body's source strength increased. However, this state doesn't have a physical body and can only deal with energy attacks. If it collides with a physical body, the liquid body is likely to be damaged, and the cultivation base may even regress. Hearing this, Lu Kuan's eyes lit up and said, "This state, is it what I speculated before?" Hong Yuntian said, "Yes, if this state is attached to Lu Kuan's body through the supply of powerful blood essence, the power of the two combined is probably beyond imagination." Lu Kuan couldn't help but reveal an excited expression. In summary, after Brother Hong breaks through the transfer of life energy, you could be divided into human form, half human and half demonic form, demonic zombie form, and finally liquid form. Between you and me, there may be more ways to cooperate if, hey, the disciples are back. While the two were talking, the disciples of the body, refining pavilion, were all called back. They all had excited expressions, obviously knowing that all the people who underwent the tribulation had successfully broken through, and the strength of the sect had greatly increased. "Brother Hong, let's return to the body refining pavilion first, and then discussed the changes of the demonic zombie body, refining art in detail. Okay, then, everyone gathered together and cleaned up the traces of the lightning tribulation nearby. Sitting on Lu Kuan's cloud-treading boat, they flew in the direction of the Cloud Ridge mountain range. Chapter 12:22. In the Devil Abyss of the Yunling Mountains, Hong Yuntian and Lu Kuan stood in the Rong Yuan Devil Cave. They looked at the array in front of them and were talking. This array structure is indeed left by the Yuan sect, but the best way to eliminate the true devil qi is with the help of demon qi and spiritual qi. Hong Yuntian looked at the spiritual qi pillars in front of him and sighed softly. However, the elders in the sect don't agree with eliminating the devil qi in this world. They want to learn the magic of the devil clan to improve the strength of the human clan. Improve the strength of the human clan? Lu Kuan frowned. Even if the Yuan sect has derived various devil skills, the devil qi has been mixed into the world. It is difficult for the apotheosis realm to break through. The strength of the immortal cultivation world today is far inferior to that of the ancient times. The few apotheosis realm experts Lu met were all pseudo-apotheosis realm experts who refined the remnant will of the ancient cultivators. They can only exert their greatest strength in their respective primordial qi fields. Han Yuntian opened his mouth and suddenly stopped. He closed his eyes and sensed. Then he opened his eyes and murmured, "Sure enough, the oath restriction of the Yuan sect has been completely lifted. It seems that the Great Elder wants to pass this information down through me." Lu Kuan was a little confused and showed a puzzled expression. Hong Yuntian continued, "You are thinking in the wrong direction. The Yuan sect doesn't want to improve the human clan in this world, but the upper world." Lu Kuan heard this and couldn't help but breathe a little faster. "You mean the immortal cultivators in the upper world are also facing the threat of the devil clan?" Hong Yuntian didn't answer directly. After a moment of silence, he said, "Lu Kuan, do you know the cultivation of the Great Elder of the Yuan sect?" Lu Kuan was stunned. He suddenly remembered that in Hong Yuntian's letter, there was a record that the Great Elder was shrouded in an inexplicable restriction. He suddenly had a bold guess and said with a dull expression, "Is it the voiding realm?" But the primordial qi of heaven and earth in the immortal cultivation world, Hong Yuntian said proudly, "Yes, the original body of the Supreme Elder has already ascended to the upper realm. The one left in the sect is his avatar. During the war in the devil world, his original body in the upper realm successfully broke through to the void refining stage, and his avatar also advanced. However, due to the suppression of the realm, he can only exert the Dharma power of the peak of the divine transformation realm. However, his real strength is enough to fight against cultivators in the void refining realm. If he didn't suppress several demon emperors by himself, how could the cultivation world defeat the demon clan? Devil Emperor sounds more powerful than the Devil King. Don't tell me he's at the void refinement realm." Lu Kuan muttered in a daze. Hong Yuntian shook his head and said, "That's the name of the Devil King's body refinement experts. Although the Devil Kings have comprehended the origin power of their physical bodies, they are not proficient in it. Body refinement is only a supplement to their cultivation techniques." He looked at his own body and said slowly, "The demon clan that really concentrates on cultivating their physical bodies, like my devil zombie body, has comprehended the origin power of their physical bodies at the devil general level. After such a powerhouse advances to the divine transformation realm, his magical power is all on his physical body. He is called the Demon Emperor. His combat power is far beyond that of ordinary devil kings, and he can fight those above his level." Lu Kuan's eyes lit up, and he seemed to be a little excited. Hong Yuntian glanced at him and said, "I know what you're thinking. Let's not talk about the great changes in the cultivation world. The Demon Emperor can't cross the upper realm. Even if he can, only cultivators at the peak of the divine transformation realm or the Supreme Elder can catch him alive." Lu Kuan came back to his senses and said with a smile, "Brother Hong is right. The supreme elder of your sect has such a cultivation level, and he is the avatar of the original body in the upper realm. Did he learn about the situation in the upper realm through this point? Hong Yuntian said slowly, yes, the upper realm and our cultivation world are inextricably linked in space. The demon realm is a huge neighboring world. We are bordered by it, and so is the upper realm. The demon clan in the upper realm is too powerful. If it weren't for the alliance of the other clans and the human clan, I'm afraid we can't fight against the demon clan at all. Lu Kuan frowned and said, according to the cultivation levels in the cultivation world, after the void refinement realm is the form synthesis realm, and after that, there is the Mahayana realm. The human clan seniors in the upper realm should have such a powerhouse overseeing them. Hong Yuntian snorted and said, you're wrong. According to the Supreme Elder, the human clan seniors in the upper realm, the highest cultivation level is only at the void refinement realm. Not to mention the Mahayana realm, there is not even a single person at the form synthesis realm. Lu Kuan was stunned. Then these cultivation levels, Hong Yuntian said, these levels come from the foreign clans in the upper realm. The human clan is just the weakest clan. The limit of their cultivation methods is only the peak of the void refinement realm. As for the cultivation methods of the foreign clans, not to mention the difficulty of obtaining them, just the differences between the clans makes it difficult to derive the cultivation methods of the human clan. I really don't know how the cultivators of ancient times walked on this path. After a pause, Hong Yuntian continued, among the various foreign clans, the demon clan is the closest to the human clan. Not only the body structure, even the dantian and meridians are extremely similar. It is said that in the demon realm, there are powerhouses at the form synthesis realm. If we can study the demon technique thoroughly and deduce it according to its ideas, we might be able to find a way to a higher realm for the human clan. In order to preserve their strength, the human clan can't mix demon vitality chi in the upper realm. The place to test the demon technique can only be in the lower realm. The secrets Lu Kuan heard were far beyond his imagination. The shock in his heart could be imagined. He stood there for a long time without saying a word. At the same time, he thought of the sentence left by the ancestor of the Blood Beast sect in the Jade Slip. It said that the situation after the elder of the Yuan sect broke through the void was countless times more tragic than the war of the demon clan. He also instructed the later generation disciples that even if their cultivation reached the middle stage of the soul formation realm, they should not easily ascend. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but ask, when the Yuan sect ascended, did they go to support the war of the upper realm? Hong Yuntian's eyes flashed with a look of reminiscence. He sighed and said, originally, this matter was hidden from me. However, the Supreme Elder left a message in my divine soul. When I woke up 300 years ago, I knew everything. The human clan is the weakest clan in the upper realm. The Yuan sect has a void refinement realm cultivator and nearly 10 soul formation realm cultivators. When these cultivators enter the upper realm, the human clan at least has more power to protect themselves. Moreover, this immortal cultivation world has experienced the war of the demon clan. The vitality chi is very mixed and is not suitable for soul formation realm cultivators to cultivate. Only in the upper realm can there be a chance to go further. Lu Kuan murmured, now that 70 to 80,000 years have passed, I don't know the situation of the human clan in the upper realm. Hong Yuntian clenched his fist and his eyes flashed with a look of unwillingness. He said, at that time, I hadn't broken through yet. The devil chi in the upper realm was scarce, so I was left in the upper realm. If the devil zombie body refining art can be perfected, it will definitely play a decisive role in the war of the upper realm. Unlike now, we can only struggle at death's door. Lu Kuan showed a look of admiration and said, Brother Hong, you don't have to think too much. The Supreme Elder of the Yuan sect did this to leave some hope and inheritance for the human clan in case the most tragic situation occurs. Now, what Brother Hong needs to do is to continue to derive the cultivation method. If you enter the soul formation realm, you will naturally have a chance to enter the upper realm. Maybe the devil zombie body refining art will also be of great use. Hong Yintian nodded gently and said, "You're right. The Supreme Elder still thinks highly of this cultivation method and provided a lot of resources. In particular, he helped Han Ting create the devil cultivating art. In addition to helping her break through, the other purpose of this secret technique is to resist the devil zombie body refining art's bloodthirsty intent through the devil zombie body refining art." He sighed and said, "Unfortunately, in the end, it fell short of success. With the invasion of time, the bloodthirsty intent still prevailed." Lu Kuan raised his eyebrows and said, "By the way, Brother Hong, why were you able to survive? It seems that you were immune to the devil zombie body refining art." Hong Yintian was slightly stunned and said with some uncertainty, "I also don't understand. Maybe it has something to do with the divine sense left by the Supreme Elder. Now that I think about it, the Supreme Elder arranged a way out for me. If you didn't interfere, I would have been able to leave the secret territory 300 years ago." In a message left by the Supreme Elder, he also mentioned a place where he left a few things that were of great use to the devil zombie body refining art. But he didn't know that body refining art would encounter the heaven and earth lightning tribulation. In my state at that time, even if I could barely pass the first 8 stages, I would definitely die in the last one. Hearing this, Lu Kuan's expression suddenly changed, and he said, "Wait, the place that the senior mentioned is an overseas island?" Hong Yintian was slightly stunned and said, "How did you know?" Lu Kuan said with a strange expression, "I was wondering why the Demon Abyss formation on the Demon Island was used to keep the Demon King's corpse alive. It seems that those 2 corpses were left for you, Brother Hong." As he spoke, he waved his hand, and 2 corpses appeared on the ground. One of them was only half a body, while the other was a relatively complete body. Besides the purple-black scales, the bone spikes at their joints were about a foot long, and they emitted a chilling aura. 2 Demon King corpses, huh? Something's not right. Hong Yintian frowned and carefully observed the demon corpses on the ground. He suddenly thought of something, and his pupils shrank. These aren't Demon Kings. These are the corpses of Demon Emperors. Chapter 1223. You said this is a Demon Emperor? Lu Kuan looked at the 2 corpses in surprise and said with some disbelief, "I fought with this corpse many years ago. Its physical strength was not strong, only 1 million gene." Hong Yintian was stunned and said, "The physical aura of these 2 demon corpses is obviously much stronger than my demon zombie body. They should be demon emperors at the early stage of apotheosis realm. But how did you fight with them?" Lu Kuan waved his hand, and with a flash of light, the purple-gold demonic axe appeared in his hand. This weapon seemed to have sensed the aura of the demon emperor, and it emitted an excited, buzzing sound. Lu Kuan played with this demonic weapon and recalled, "Back then, I was in seclusion to break through to the middle stage of bone transformation." Lu Kuan gave a very detailed account from the time he made the breakthrough to the time he entered the Demon Island. He did not leave out any details. Hong Yintian listened carefully. He already knew the division of the body refining pavilion's body cultivation realms. Entry stage, muscle refining stage, body tempering stage, bone tempering, blood coagulation, viscera forging, bone treasure stage, and the current bone transformation stage that Lu Kuan deduced. Each realm corresponded to the immortal cultivator system. In the realm before the bone treasure stage, ordinary body cultivators relied on special fighting methods to be slightly stronger than immortal cultivators. But in the bone treasure stage, especially the middle stage, the body cultivators' fighting strength increased greatly and could fight beyond the realm. Lu Kuan was now at the middle stage of bone transformation, which was equivalent to the middle stage of nascent soul realm. Because he had the bloodline of the long-armed demon ape, his body focused on strength, and the bone treasure fused with the silver dragon meteorite iron. No great cultivator was his opponent. This series of realms was obviously more orthodox than the demon zombie body refining technique. It was completely self-contained. After all, his body refining technique had not left the Dantian golden core in the early stage. With Lu Kuan's description, Hong Yintian was more and more surprised, especially when he heard about the meteor battle skill and transcendence law. He did not expect that after body cultivators entered a higher realm, they could evolve so many magical powers. Finally, when he talked about the power of one origin, the newly appointed Great Elder of the Body, Refining Pavilion, suddenly became excited. 1,000,000 gene of physical origin power and the control of demon soul yuan qi. Lu Kuan, the power of one origin, is the terrifying power that the demon emperor possesses. The other demon kings are more or less affected by the spiritual yuan qi of the immortal cultivation world. Only the demon emperor can still exert his powerful strength in a place where spiritual yuan qi is abundant. Lu Kuan frowned and said, "You're saying that the devil emperor has the power of one essence?" But at that time, the demonic corpse that was activated by the soul of the magic tool only had the physical strength of 1,000,000 kilograms. Or perhaps, after the demon emperor lost his divine soul, his strength greatly decreased? When he sat up to hear, his expression suddenly changed as he said, "Brother Hong, do you know if the fiend emperor's divine soul contains the true fiend intent or not?" Hong Yintian said without hesitation, "The divine soul of an existence above the demon king level is fused with the true fiend intent. I heard from the Grand Elder that the demon emperor also has a nascent soul in his body. Therefore, the demonic corpse body refining technique started with the idea of a golden core and nascent soul." Lu Kuan waved his hand, and the half of the demon emperor's corpse on the ground slowly emerged. His eyes flashed with a golden light as he looked at the exposed internal organs and murmured, "I understand now. I understand now. The demon emperor's nascent soul is not in his dantian, but has fused with his organs. Through this method, he can fuse the true demon will with his organs and greatly increase the strength of his mortal body, reaching the effect of the power of one essence, combining the true fiend intent with his internal organs." Hong Yintian was a little confused and said, "Internal organs? Combining the power of will with the physical body, you're saying that the power of will can enhance the physical strength?" Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with contemplation as he said, "Brother Hong, you may not know this, but the power of one origin that Lu displayed through the demonic ape transformation is essentially a kind of magical ability that uses the internal organs as the core and spreads the power of will throughout the body to enhance the physical strength. If the internal organs are too weak, they won't be able to withstand the power of will. On the other hand, if the internal organs are strong enough, it means that they can use the power of will to break through the current physical realm." Based on the connection between the power of will and the internal organs, Lu concluded that there are two breakthroughs in the body refining technique. "What, you've actually deduced to this step?" Hong Yuntian's expression was a little incredulous. He had just broken through to the nascent soul level and had no idea about the next step of the demonic corpse body refining technique. However, the guy in front of him was already thinking about the road to the deity stage. However, when he thought that the other party had already fought with the deity stage and had the unique bloodline of the long-armed demon ape, he felt a little relieved and couldn't help but listen attentively. Lu Kuan organized his words and said, "One of the breakthroughs is to focus on the spirit. First, you have to comprehend the power of will. Then, you have to borrow the power of the demonic ape transformation and try to combine the power of will with the internal organs. Then, the physical strength will increase rapidly and reach the level of the power of one origin. The other direction is to continue to refine the physical body and find a way to temper the physical strength to 2,000,000 gene. At that time, you won't need the power of will at all. You can directly reach the level of the power of one origin and control the chi of heaven and earth." Although Hong Yintian didn't know how Lu Kuan deduced to this step, he was, after all, born in the Yuan school and had a good understanding of the deity stage. Thinking along Lu Kuan's direction, he nodded gently and said, "I understand. The first is the direction of the cultivation of the spirit. The Devil Emperor's physical strength is only 1 million gene. If it reached the level of the power of one origin through the integration of will and nascent soul into the internal organs, then it confirms your inference. Lu Kuan said, yes, when I was studying the internal organs of this corpse, there were many things I couldn't figure out. Now that I think about it, it was because there was no nascent soul. Hong Yuntian narrowed his eyes and said, the second direction of the breakthrough is to start with the physical body. Are you planning to take this path? Lu Kuan smiled and said, Lu is now at the peak of the middle stage of bone transformation. His physical strength has reached 1,200,000 gene. According to the law of body refining breakthrough, the strength of the late stage of bone transformation will increase by 50%, reaching 1,800,000 gene. At that time, he was only 200,000 gene away from the power of one origin. Naturally, he would find a way to refine his physical body and cross this threshold of strength. Hong Yuntian frowned and said, but your situation is not suitable for all body refining disciples. When Huang Xiaoyun and the others enter the late stage of bone transformation, I'm afraid their strength will only be 1 million gene. No matter how much you cultivate in the late stage of bone transformation, your strength will not increase by 1 million gene. If you can't replicate the inheritance, then how can it be considered opening up the path of body refining? Lu Kuan heard this and couldn't help but fall silent. He sighed and said, from the perspective of inheritance, comprehending the power of will is the most suitable direction for all body refining disciples. My method of using the physical body to break through has too high a requirement for strength. Hong Yuntian said, Lu Kuan, have you thought about it? If you only use the physical body to break through without comprehending the power of will, although you are not afraid of divine soul attacks with your supernatural powers, have you considered the realms after spirit severing? Lu Kuan was stunned for a moment. Then his eyes became firm. He said in a deep voice, Brother Hong is right. If that's the case, then I, Lu Kuan, will not only cultivate the power of the physical body to the extreme, but also comprehend the power of will. Using the physical body to break through first and then comprehend the power of will means that the physical body can use the power of will for a second burst of strength, and the combat power will be even more terrifying. Hong Yuntian couldn't help but pat Lu Kuan on the shoulder and said slowly, in this way, the key point for body refining to break through to spirit severing is the same as for traditional cultivators. It is the comprehension of the power of will. I'm afraid that this alone will stop most people. You should know that the number of Yuanying stage elders in the Yuan sect who can comprehend the power of will in their lifetime is less than 5. And in the body refining pavilion, I'm afraid that you are the only one who can break through directly from the physical body. Lu Kuan sighed and said, Lu has the bloodline of the long-armed demon ape. With the improvement of his body refining cultivation, the bloodline gradually merged with his physical body. That's why he has far more strength than others. Unless other body refining cultivators also have the support of a powerful bloodline, it is almost impossible for them to break through to spirit severing with only the strength of their physical body. Speaking of this, he suddenly looked at Hong Yuntian and said with a strange expression, Wait, Brother Hong, your demonic zombie form has a strength of 1,200,000 gene. If you combine the demonic zombie with the essence of the human race and solidify the strength of your physical body, you can do that too. Chapter 1224. Hearing this, Hong Yuntian shook his head and said, It's easy for you to say. When I was going through the 9th tribulation, the liquid state of my origin was a combination of the two. Although with the power of life, the soul won't dissipate without a physical body, but this state won't last long, and the power of the body can only be expressed through the power of the void. It's a rootless source. Lu Kuan looked at the demonic corpse under his feet and pondered, This is easy to solve. Brother Hong can refine the bones of the demon monarch into a human bone demonic treasure according to the body refining technique, and then refine it in the form of a magic treasure through blood and demon chi. If you only use the human bone demonic treasure in battle, With Brother Hong's control of blood and demon chi, there shouldn't be a problem with this skeleton. Hong Yuntian frowned slightly and said, even if this problem is solved, the essence of the human race must at least reach the level of your body to have a chance to devour the essence of the demonic corpse. Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with a pondering look and said slowly, we can change the way of thinking. He looked at his arms and said, Lu has strength far beyond the body cultivators of the same level. On the surface, it seems to be because of the bloodline of the giant long-armed ape, but in fact, it's because of the inheritance of the frenzy will in the bloodline. Bloodline will? Hong Yuntian raised his eyebrows and said. Lu Kuan nodded and said, all the top monsters in the immortal cultivation world have different bloodline abilities. In fact, it's the use of the frenzy will in the bloodline. The bloodline ability of the giant long-armed ape is to use the will of this monster to strengthen the body. It is because of the compatibility between this bloodline and the human bloodline that I gradually release the power of the bloodline, that I have such a strong physical strength. As for the demonic ape transformation, it is the second will of the true demon will that is activated through the bloodline to strengthen the physical strength of the body a second time, causing it to skyrocket. Lu Kuan suddenly asked, by the way, Brother Hong's soul is immune to the true demon will. I wonder if you can guide the direction of this will through the energy in your body. Hong Yuntian raised his eyebrows. He took a few steps forward and reached out his hand. The void energy was like an invisible giant hand. He scooped up a ball of true demon water from the center of the cave and swallowed it. The energy inside the water of the true demon seemed to be clearly divided. The pure demon chi was absorbed by the blood and demon chi, while the remaining true demon will did not rush into his soul, but poured into the purple-black skeleton formed from the essence of the demon zombie. These brutal thoughts flowed inside, as if it was the environment of the water of the true devil. He said blankly that it directly entered the essence of the demonic zombie. Lu Kuan was pleasantly surprised. If that's the case, Lu's idea will be much easier to realize. Hong Yuntian was a little confused. Lu Kuan continued. According to our previous analysis, the body refinement and soul formation breakthrough method requires a strong foundation of strength. Lu's foundation comes from the bloodline of the great long-armed ape. When I was studying the art of internal organ refinement, I found that the frenzied demon will could spontaneously merge into the blood and produce the bloodline power of the great long-armed ape. If the essence of the demon zombie is a special kind of blood, then the true demon will is the true meaning of this bloodline inheritance. If the two are combined, can it be transformed into bloodline power and truly merge with the essence of the human race? Transforming the essence of the demon race into a special bloodline? This idea was simply unimaginable. Hong Yuntian couldn't help but be stunned. Lu Kuan said, my demon ape transformation uses the bloodline ability to use the true demon will and infuse it into the body to temporarily increase the strength of the body. The essence of the demon zombie can increase the strength of Brother Hong's body and can also attract the true demon will. This characteristic is very similar to the bloodline. You can use the demon ape transformation as a reference and try to transform the essence of the demon zombie into a special bloodline that can inherit the true demon will. Hong Yuntian's eyes gradually flashed with understanding. He murmured, I understand. From another point of view, my half-human, half-demon form, the demon zombie form, can be used as a bloodline ability. It is very similar to your giant psychic arm and demon ape transformation. Your physical strength is enhanced by a special bloodline. If I fuse the essence of the devil zombie and the will of the true demon into a brand new bloodline, it will be the same as your bloodline of the long-armed giant ape. It will increase your physical strength in essence. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that this was a direction. His expression gradually became excited, and he couldn't help but pat Lu Kuan's shoulder. Your thinking is really strange. No wonder you can open up the path of body refinement. If this true demon bloodline is successfully created, the essence of the human race can be easily absorbed with the assistance of qi and demon qi. Lu Kuan's mood was also somewhat high. That's right. According to this train of thought, Brother Hong's demon zombie body refinement art is actually using the demon zombie as a material to gradually extract a special true demon bloodline and transform the human race's body into a demon body. This true demon body is very likely to be stronger than the demon race. After all, the Demon Emperor's physical body only has the strength of 1,000,000 kilograms. Brother Hong's current realm should be called the Demon Transformation Stage. Hong Yuntian's expression changed. After a long time, he let out a breath of turbid air and calmed down a lot. There is no time to lose. We should immediately study the method of reverse refining the bloodline. Lu Kuan said solemnly, the demon ape transformation is also very enlightening for the breakthrough of the spirit severing stage. It is very difficult to reverse the derivation. Before that, Lu needs to fully understand Brother Hong's essence of the demon zombie. His expression changed. That's right. Why don't we test the combination of our previous conjectures? Hong Yuntian looked the man in front of him up and down and coldly snorted. Aren't you afraid that the blood and demon zombie will devour your flesh and blood? Lu Kuan laughed and said, Lu is only one step away from the late bone transformation stage. My blood is on the verge of condensing into a treasure. If Brother Hong has the ability, then go ahead and devour it. His eyes flashed with excitement. Let's directly try the strongest liquid form of the origin. I don't know if we can break through the shackles of the One Yuan power. Hong Yuntian thought for a moment and said, the essence of this divine ability is to absorb your blood essence and temporarily increase the energy level of your blood and demon zombie. It will temporarily refine the essence of the demon zombie, causing the two to temporarily fuse and erupt with the strongest power. If it attaches to your body, the liquid origin will fuse into your muscles and combine the two into one. However, I'm not too sure about how to fuse the origin power of the body. Understood. Brother Hong, go ahead and try. As Lu Kuan spoke, traces of silver blood emerged from the pores of his skin. His entire body was dyed silver and exuded an astonishing power of blood and demon zombie. Hong Yuntian walked forward. The flesh on the surface of his body melted like a candle in a fire, turning into a black liquid. The purple-black bones within his body also melted one by one. They transformed into dozens of tentacles that climbed onto Lu Kuan's body. This liquid energy greedily absorbed the silver blood essence, its aura growing stronger and stronger. The two distinct liquids gradually began to fuse. Muscle fibers, twisted flesh, and tiny scales flowed within. It was like a fierce flesh and blood creature that covered Lu Kuan's tall and sturdy body. The skin on the surface of his body disappeared in a flash of silver light, revealing the squirming muscle fibers below. The purple-black liquid was like blood dissolving in water as it flowed in. Hiss! Lu Kuan couldn't help but shudder. He felt that the liquid was like little ants climbing up his muscle fibers, opening their sharp teeth and biting his flesh. Accompanied by the creaking sound of metal rubbing against each other, the pain of 10,000 ants gnawing at his flesh was continuously transmitted to his brain through his nerves. Even with his strong will, he couldn't help but cry out in pain. After a while, the muscle fibers all over his body gradually turned purple-black and became thicker and thicker. Lu Kuan had to use the bone treasure and use the silver dragon meteoric iron's transformation ability to enlarge his bones to adapt to the stronger muscles. Soon, his tall and sturdy body swelled like a balloon and grew to a height of more than 10 feet. On the surface of his skin, tiny purple scales grew. However, the muscles all over his body were trembling violently. Lu Kuan, the blood and demonic energy can't devour your flesh and blood. Take the initiative to provide me with your blood essence. Otherwise, the demonic zombie essence will leave. Hong Yuntian's divine thoughts suddenly came from his flesh and blood. Okay, Lu Kuan's mind moved. A large amount of blood essence gushed out from his bones and actively sent into the black energy that climbed onto his muscle fibers. After a while, his body stopped trembling. He slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and looked at his arm. The 5 fingers of his right hand were trembling as they closed inwards. It seemed that he couldn't even make a fist. Chapter 1225. When Lu Kuan saw this scene, his mouth opened slightly. However, the muscles in his throat twitched, and he did not make a sound. His divine sense penetrated his body and said, "Brother Hong, although you and I are one flesh and blood, we have different control over our muscle fibers. It can be said that the control of each muscle fiber is not unified. Not to mention attacking, even a simple clench of a fist is very difficult." Hong Yuntian also noticed this. He thought for a while and said with his divine sense, "The body that my doppelganger occupies has been completely devoured by qi and blood. It is as if they are one. The body that we are fusing with seems to be a new body, but the flesh and blood of both sides are just attached to each other. This secret technique doesn't seem to work." While talking, the scales outside the huge body fell off and turned into purple-black liquid tentacles. They merged into a large mass of liquid and gradually twisted into Hong Yuntian's body. The bones in Lu Kuan's body also flickered, and he returned to his normal height. His eyes flashed with a pondering look as he said, "That might not be the case. I have a divine ability that can fuse the consciousness of 2 people for a short period of time. However, this still cannot solve the problem." He touched his chin and said, "It's best if our nervous systems can also merge into one. Only then will we be able to control this fused body as easily as waving our arms. Otherwise, even if the body contains powerful strength without fast muscle reaction speed, this ability will have no practical value at all." Nervous system. After Hong Yuntian and Lu Kuan met, Hong Yuntian's understanding of the body had increased rapidly. But this strange term made him a little confused. It sounded like it was related to the control of the flesh and blood. Lu Kuan smiled and said, "This is the body refining pavilion's divine sense cultivation technique. Brother Hong, why don't you listen to Lu's explanation?" "Okay." Although both of them had created their own body refining arts, their knowledge and foundation were completely different. One of them was born in the ancient world of immortal cultivation and practiced according to the meridians and Jindan system. The other came from the earth and used the energy in his flesh to refine his body. Their ideas collided with each other, and they had a lot of insights. Especially Hong Yuntian, the inspiration he received in a short time was far more than he had thought for countless years. Next, the 2 body refining pioneers started to discuss the methods related to the nervous system and divine sense in the Rong Yuan Devil Cave. At the gate of the body refining pavilion, Huang Xiaoyun and Duanyun were talking with a man with pale, white short hair outside the lava cave built by the essence of the strange fire. Huang Xiaoyun was pleasantly surprised. "Yin Fei, I didn't expect your tool spirit root to be able to fuse with a trace of the white lotus purifying flame essence. In this way, you can use the mystical flame technique to try to enter the core condensation stage, and the chances of breaking through to the bone treasure stage will greatly increase." Yin Fei said with a bit of shame, "It's your disciple's fault for not being skillful enough. I was too eager for instant success when I was refining the fake artifact. If it wasn't for my good luck that the artifact embryo coincidentally merged with the artifact spirit root, I'm afraid your disciple would have been burned to death." Huang Xiaoyun patted the other party's shoulder and said, "Luck is also a part of strength. You brat, quickly write down this process and your comprehension into the jade strip. Although it was just a coincidence, it also shows that the tool spirit root can be refined a second time in a special way. It will be a great inspiration for other martial art disciples. It's enough to send to the 10,000 Law Palace." Hearing this, Yin Fei's expression became excited. "Yes, Elder Huang, your disciple will go now." Finishing speaking, he bowed, took out a flying magic tool, and hurriedly left. The 10,000 Law Palace was established in the body refining pavilion in the last 100 years. It specializes in collecting all kinds of strange ideas of body cultivators about breaking through to the next stage. The station elders will reward the disciples with large amounts of contribution points according to the success rate and practicability of these strange ideas. Duan Yun on the side looked at Yin Fei's departing figure and said with some emotion, "The path of body refining and tool refining are inseparable. Even at our current stage, we can also improve our strength through the transformation of the bone treasure." Hearing this, Huang Xiaoyun sighed softly and said, "Unfortunately, the gung metal stone is too rare. According to our inference, only when the whole body's bone treasure is integrated with this kind of sword treasure can the fist heart sword display the attack power comparable to the peak of a great practitioner. If only a part of the sword treasure is integrated, not only will the strength not be improved, but the bones in the body will also conflict with each other due to the imbalance of the sharpness attribute, increasing the difficulty of the fist-heart sword. And the way you resist the thunder tribulation is a one-time consumption method. If you use it in a normal battle, it's too extravagant," Duan Yun said. "If the number is small, it's better to leave it for the disciples who have mastered the bone treasure for the breakthrough. With the help of the gung metal stone, it's difficult for the qi and blood to devour the bones, and the greatly increased power of the fist-heart sword can also help to resist the heavenly tribulation." Huang Xiaoyun nodded gently, then looked at the entrance of the lava cave in front of him with a bit of expectation. Although the gung metal stone is rare, the amount of Xianhuang qi that helps the disciples of the Yuan earth body refining technique is extremely large. Junior brother Pan Yin can refine all the bones in his body into Xianhuang bones. According to the time Elder Qin informed, Junior brother should have almost recovered his physical body. I don't know what kind of change his strength will have. Hearing this, Duan Yun hesitated slightly and said, "But Masters Junior Huang, according to the experience taught by the Pavilion Master, the stronger the bones, the more difficult it will be to break through the bottleneck of the late stage of bone transformation in the future. With Masters Junior Pan's talent and the integration of Xianhuang qi into his bones, I'm afraid his firmness is no less than that of the Pavilion Master. If he wants to break through the late stage of bone transformation in the future, haha, little Yun, you think too far. Now, what the body refining pavilion lacks is the backbone of the nascent soul realm. If there's a chance to improve my strength, how can I, Pan Yin, give up?" Accompanied by a hearty laugh, a muscular giant slowly flew out of the cave in front of him. It was Pan Yin. His height at this time had grown again, and he was more than 7 feet tall. Bang! With a dull sound, the burly body landed at the entrance of the cave. The ground shook slightly, and the rock under his feet was even stepped into 2 small pits. Pan Yin said awkwardly, "I still can't control the power of the Xianhuang bone freely. Now my weight is hovering between 20 and 30 times, which is more than 10,000 pounds. Huang Xiaoyun's eyes lit up and said, "Junior brother, your weight has increased so much even when you control your strength. If you fully activate the magical power of the Xianhuang bone, how much weight can you reach?" Pan Yin estimated and said, "Although I haven't tried it, I should be able to increase it by more than 100 times. But my muscle strength is not enough, so my attack speed will be reduced a lot." Huang Xiaoyun murmured, "More than 100 times. Junior brother, your weight is 600 pounds. 100 times is at least 60,000 pounds. Duan Yun stared at the burly body in front of her with her eyes wide open and said in a daze, "If Masters Junior Pan uses the falling star combat skill of the Pavilion Master, coupled with this weight, wouldn't he be able to directly attack the encampment of the immortal cultivation sect?" Pan Yin shook his head and said, "If I fall in a straight line from a high altitude, the impact may be stronger than Master's. But his falling star combat skill is also supported by a large amount of spiritual qi of heaven and earth. I definitely can't reach such power." Huang Xiaoyan showed an expectant look and said, "That's not necessarily true. Master's falling star combat skill generates impact through flying. The gravity it borrows is very little. Its power is affected by Master's maximum flying speed. There is a limit. But Junior Brothers is different. If the height is high enough, the falling speed will continue to accelerate, and the impact will increase in a straight line. And your increased weight will magnify the falling force by 100 times. Pan Yan's mouth twitched and said, "Senior brother, do you think my physical defense is invincible? If the impact exceeds the limit I can bear, I will fall to my death." Huang Xiaoyan coughed lightly and said, "We could try the limit of height. Besides, Junior Brother's bones have been integrated with the mysterious yellow qi, so your physical defense should be improved further. The upper limit of your defense should be at the level of a great cultivator." Pan Yin said with uncertainty, "The strength of my bones has indeed improved, but my muscles don't have the support of blood transformation, so the defense of my flesh and blood has not increased. But when I fall, if I use the rotation combat skill, I may be able to resist the recoil force of a great cultivator." Huang Xiaoyan said excitedly, "Then what are we waiting for? Let's go and try it." Pan Yin nodded first, then said with a strange expression, "That's right. Other than increasing the weight of the body, the mysterious yellow bone seems to have caused some changes in the power of the void." "What changes?" "I'll try it. You guys be careful." After Pan Yin finished speaking, he slowly mobilized the demonic energy in his body. The surface of the bone treasure lit up with an earthy yellow light, and the power of the void stretched forward. Huang Xiaoyan and Duan Yun felt the air around them become tight, and hundreds of thousands of kilograms of force squeezed inward from all directions. They couldn't help but be stunned. "There's no change." Soon after, the two of them realized that the void compression force was twisting and turning into a strange wave. It was as if it was invisible and formless, directly affecting their physical bodies. The next moment, the two bone transformation stage body cultivators felt their bodies sink and the ground under their feet collapsed directly. They couldn't help but reveal a look of disbelief. "Junior brother, your power of the void can actually increase gravity." Chapter 12:26 Body Refining Pavilion, Rong Yuan Devil Cave. Hong Yuntian stood behind Lu Kuan, his palms pressed against the center of the other's broad back. His chest and abdomen were undulating, and under the bare skin, there was a faint black liquid flowing from his chest to his arms. This liquid finally fell in the center of Lu Kuan's spine, turning into dense small tentacles, climbing along the top and bottom. After a while, it formed a protruding black arched back. Two amazing spiritual awareness gushed out of the two and intertwined above their heads. The incomparably vigorous spiritual awareness triggered circles of invisible storms, and the surrounding demonic aura couldn't help but be driven, revolving around the two. Lu Kuan's spiritual awareness reached the late nascent soul stage when he entered the middle bone transformation stage. Although Hong Yuntian had just finished his tribulation, his spiritual awareness had resisted the bloodthirsty will for many years. Not only was it at the middle nascent soul stage, but its purity was also a bit stronger. Under the operation of the spiritual awareness fusion method, the two spiritual awareness blended with each other, almost reaching the peak of the nascent soul stage. They slowly poured into the protruding archback of Lu Kuan. Flesh and blood fusion. With a light shout from the spiritual awareness, the bodies of both sides began to change. Hong Yuntian's body melted into a purple and black liquid. On the edge of the liquid, small tentacles grew out, spreading along the arched back. Lu Kuan took the initiative to retract his skin, revealing the muscle tissue below. It looked like he was voluntarily sending his body into a huge mouth. In a few breaths of time, the bodies of the two began to merge together, turning into a human body more than 10 feet tall, wrapped in purple and black scales. After completing the fusion, the turbulent and violent spiritual awareness still surrounded the protruding arched back. The surrounding spiritual awareness storm became more frantic, setting off bursts of whistling in the cave. At this moment, Lu Kuan's 5 viscera and 6 bowels trembled. He directly activated the flesh condensation technique, turning his viscera into a pool of blood. From the inside of his spine, it condensed into each of his vertebrae. His chest suddenly became empty. After that, the protruding flesh on his back also wriggled rapidly and seeped into his spine. The vertebrae, surrounded by strands of silver blood, rapidly expanded and squeezed out of the gaps between the purple-black scales. Due to the large edges and corners of these enlarged cone-shaped bones, it looked like a row of bone spikes had grown out of the back. Lu Kuan's tall body was pressed down by these thick back pillars, and he unconsciously bent down slightly in a half-crawling position, like a humanoid monster that was about to pounce out at any time. With the deformation of the spine, the surrounding violent spiritual awareness power also calmed down and all went into the back. The half-bent purple-black body trembled slightly. The 10 fingers on both hands slowly came together and clenched into 2 fists. However, the speed at which the fists were clenched was somewhat slow and appeared to be rather strenuous. It was like a child lifting a cauldron, exceeding the limits of self-control. The humanoid monster let out a soft sigh. As if he knew the condition of his body, a spiritual light flashed in front of him. Suddenly, an octahedral crystal appeared, quietly suspended in midair, with purple-black shadows reflecting on its surface. This is our 5th attempt. Although our spiritual awareness has fused into the body and our nervous systems have become one, the combined strength of the 2 bodies is over 2 million kilograms. It's too frightening. With our current neural control, we have more than enough strength, but not enough heart. If this remarkable ability from Metal Elite Zombie still cannot solidify the body and the consciousness, the fusion technique will be a complete failure. The humanoid monster's spiritual awareness surged, as if he was talking to himself or communicating with someone. Then, he slowly opened his mouth and sucked the octahedral crystal into his mouth. Then his Adam's apple wriggled. At the junction between the back of his skull and the spine, flesh and blood protruded outwards like a sarcoma. It rapidly expanded to the size of a walnut. An octahedral crystal could be vaguely seen inside. Then a mass of brain-like liquid flowed down from the cranial cavity. At the same time, a mass of purple-colored liquid gushed up from the spine below. They intertwined with each other, causing the sarcoma to continue expanding. It gradually grew to the size of 2 fists and was embedded at the top of the spine. It looked somewhat frightening. Suddenly, a pale golden radiance lit up from the meatball and spread towards the deformed body. It was like a patch of moonlight, illuminating the entire body. The humanoid monster's eyes suddenly emitted a brilliant light. The muscles all over his body stopped trembling and tightened in an instant, as if they contained astonishing power. He opened and closed his hands and quickly clenched them into fists at lightning speed. With just 5 fingers clenched into fists, an incomparably turbulent airwave surged in all directions, stirring up the rich demonic aura in the surroundings. The airwave collided with the walls of the cave and made rumbling noises. Success! A hoarse and deep voice came out from the monster's mouth. It was neither Lu Kuan's voice nor Hong Yuntian's voice. I didn't expect that the most difficult part was not the fusion of the body and spiritual sense, but how to strengthen the control of the nerves. The body and spiritual sense of the peak nascent soul stage alone is not enough to control the terrifying power of more than 1 million kilograms. This underworld spiritual crystal actually temporarily changed the nature of our spiritual sense and turned it into a kind of physical and spiritual force that spread throughout the body. It greatly increased the control of the nerves and allowed us to control the skyrocketing strength of our muscles. The joy in the humanoid monster's eyes gradually faded. He quietly sensed the situation of his body. The muscles under the scales all over his body were constantly twisting. His figure flashed, sometimes punching and sometimes kicking. The terrifying power in his physical body stirred up waves of terrifying energy from these simple attacks. The entire cave shook, and the spiritual light on the surrounding walls flickered incessantly. The humanoid monster quickly stopped and appeared to be in deep thought. Our combined strength has already exceeded 1 million kilograms. But the control of the nerves is not enough. With the help of the underworld spiritual crystal, we can only display the power of 1 yuan. There is no way to exceed this limit. It seems that the previous deduction was correct. Pure physical strength can completely reach the level of 1 yuan. We can break through the limit without the power of will. That's not right. Where is the source of the physical body? The monster seemed to have thought of something. 2 different types of energy surged in his body. The purple scales trembled slightly, and a layer of invisible force field slowly appeared on the surface. But no matter how his body trembled, the range of this invisible force field seemed to be only 1 foot. After a while, his body stopped trembling. His eyes flickered with a hint of understanding, and he muttered, "I understand. One of the body's source of power is radiated from the bone treasure, while the other is radiated from the blood and demonic qi." At this time, the blood and demonic qi turned into flesh and blood and embedded in the bone. The 2 source fields are not only unable to fuse, they are also repelling each other. The range of the bone's source field is 4 feet. The blood and demonic qi's range is 3 feet. Fortunately, the former is slightly stronger. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be able to radiate this 1 foot of physical strength. With the support of 1 yuan, this 1 foot should be enough. While speaking, the force field outside the monster's body surged, and the surrounding demonic spirit yuan qi gathered toward its body. Almost in an instant, it condensed into a layer of black and white light film on the surface of the purple-black scales. This layer of light film looked incomparably solid. There were even lines of scales on it. It was like a thin layer of armor covering the monster's body. The source field is too weak. It can barely control the heaven and earth yuan qi. But what is this film? It doesn't look like a yuan qi manifestation ability. It's a little strange. The humanoid monster stretched out his palm. The solid film on it spread out and turned into a demonic qi ring. It trembled slightly as if it wanted to make some changes. But in the next moment, this layer of yuan qi went out of control and directly dissipated. Then he clenched his fist and punched forward. A layer of turbulent qi surged out and hit the wall in the distance. The ancient restriction on it dimmed for a while. The source field is conflicting with each other. The void power has also disappeared. In other words, the void condensation ability can't be used. The monster carefully sensed the situation inside his body. His body trembled, and a pale golden spiritual light returned to the sarcoma behind his head from all parts of his body. The light film outside his body seemed to have lost some kind of support. It turned into yuan qi and dissipated into the demonic qi. The purple scales twisted and turned into dense liquid tentacles that retracted back to his back. The flesh and blood of the 2 sides gradually began to separate. The purple-black liquid turned into Hong Yuntian's body, and the tall body that was more than 10 feet tall was constantly shrinking. The spine and the internal organs of the body returned to their original state. The octagonal crystal of the underworld spirit crystal was suspended between the 2. Lu Kuan's expression was a little excited. Although the result is a little different from what I expected, this fusion ability can be considered to have been successfully completed. Hong Yuntian nodded slightly, and his eyes flashed with joy. That layer of yuan qi light film can't be actively attacked, but the aura it contains is no less than that of yuan qi. Coupled with 1 million kilograms of strength, this form is enough to fight against a deity transformation cultivator. Lu Kuan slowly exhaled and calmed his mood. He thought for a while and said, "But this ability consumes a lot of energy. My essence blood not only needs to maintain your liquid form, but also needs to assist in operating your body and consciousness. It can only last for a short time." Hong Yuntian frowned. "My flesh and blood essence is also quite strained. Not only do I need to use my essence blood to activate the underworld spirit crystal, but I also need to use my body's origin power." Lu Kuan estimated and said, "Coupled with the consumption of my demonic qi, this state can only last for 15 minutes at most. If it lasts any longer, my essence blood and body's energy will be depleted," and he stretched out his hand, and the underworld spirit crystal slowly floated over. This underworld spirit crystal also needs to be consumed. If too much is used, this sacred artifact of the underworld insect tribe may completely disappear. Han Yuntian's gaze turned over and found that the crystal had shrunk slightly compared to before. The fusion time was very short, and if it lasted for 15 minutes, the consumption would be even greater. He snorted and said, "That's still more practical than your demonic ape transformation. At least it won't overdraw on your lifespan. As for the underworld spirit crystal, don't those corpse kings have one? Can't we just snatch it?" Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with interest. He nodded and said, "The consumption is indeed much better, and this ability can last for a long time, unlike the demonic ape transformation, which can only last for a few attacks. However, after the fusion, there are still many flaws. One is the crystallization point at the back of the head. If we suffer a powerful attack, our bodies and consciousness will directly disintegrate. Another is that we don't have any long-range attack methods." Hong Yuntian pondered and said, "According to our research over the past few days, the fusion of the body and consciousness can only be done at the intersection of the spine and the brain. However, we can adjust the flesh and place it in the neck and cranial cavity. Anyway, the fusion ability is used for battle. It doesn't matter if we talk or not. As for long-range attack methods, it's fine if we don't have them. After the fusion, we have the physical body's origin force field. Under the power of the void, our explosive speed is even more shocking. Even demigod realm cultivators won't be able to pull away easily. If we catch them off guard, this ability can suppress those demigod realm cultivators. Don't tell me you want to threaten their lives?" Lu Kuan said with some pity. "If the physical body's origin force doesn't conflict with each other, but instead fuses and grows, we might be able to use the power of the void. With the help of the demonic dragon blade, our deterrence will be even greater." Hong Yuntian raised his eyebrows and said, "Demonic dragon blade? Is that the body cultivator's treasure you mentioned?" Lu Kuan smiled and said, "About the treasure, I'll talk to Brother Hong about it later. However, after experimenting with the fusion ability, Lu has some understanding about the cultivation of the central nervous system." Hong Yuntian thought about the fusion process just now and nodded gently. The fusion of the body and consciousness refers to the secret method of the phantom child-mother technique. The peripheral nervous system is the mother body, the internal organs are the intermediary, and the central nervous system is the child body. The two sides are fused in the spine. This method not only strengthens the fusion between the consciousness and the body's nerves, but also has the effect of refining the consciousness. However, if you want to perfect it, the difficulty is no less than condensing the true demon bloodline of the demonic zombie body refining art. Lu Kuan laughed and said, "There's no hurry to cultivate the consciousness." However, after being inspired by the nervous system, Lu has an idea that seems to be able to condense the true demon bloodline. Really? Han Yuntian's eyes couldn't help but light up. Chapter 1227. Dezhou Nation, West Sea State. In a secret room deep in the Five Spirits Temple, two elders sat cross-legged with unfathomable dermic powers surging in their bodies. They were making hand seals and rays of spiritual light with halos shot forward. These two were the soul formation elders of the Five Spirits Temple, Supremacy Fire Spirit and Supremacy Ice Spirit. A dim green, nascent soul floated above the jade cattail leaf in front of them. This nascent soul was less than an inch long, and its aura was extremely weak. As the two soul formation cultivators cast their spells, the nascent soul gradually solidified and even jumped to 1.5 inches tall. After a while, the tiny nascent soul's eyes trembled slightly, and it opened. He was Lilan Feng, who had escaped from the middle state of the Qi Kingdom. Seeing the two elders, the nascent soul's small face revealed a relieved expression, and a weak voice slowly sounded. "Thank you for your help, Grand Elder. I'm much better now." Seeing this, The two elders stopped their hand seals, and the dermic powers in their bodies slowly calmed down. Supremacy Fire Spirit said slowly, "With your magical powers, you escaped with only a remnant nascent soul. Could it be that you met that Master Lu?" Li Lanfeng said with lingering fear, "Yes, Patriarch Fire Spirit. Other than Lu Kuan, there was another late-stage nascent soul sword cultivator who could use the illusory spirit sword chi. I almost couldn't make it back." Late-stage nascent soul sword cultivator? Illusory spirit sword chi. Supremacy Eye Spirit raised his eyebrows and said, "Didn't you not enter the Wei Kingdom? How did you meet two powerful cultivators from the body refining pavilion?" Li Lanfeng hurriedly said, "I really didn't break into the body refining pavilion's area. It's like this." Next, he told them the information that Su Junwan had given him and what he had seen in the middle state of the Qi Kingdom. As he spoke, even though the two deity transformation stage cultivators were very knowledgeable, they were still astonished and their expressions constantly changed. At that time, Lu Kuan was in a hurry to go back to protect me. Otherwise, if he chased after me, I'm afraid my soul fragment would have been destroyed. After half an hour, Li Lanfeng finally finished speaking. Fire Spirit Saint was silent for a while before he said, "Li Lanfeng, well done. This information is very useful. The sect will choose a disciple with a wind spirit root for you to possess. With the full support of the sect, you will be able to recover your original cultivation base within 50 years. Additionally, you will also be given a chance to fuse with a will of agility. As for whether or not you can succeed, that will depend on your luck." Hearing this, Li Lanfeng's nascent soul was overjoyed. He quickly said, "Thank you, elders. I will do my best to prepare." A ball of fire gushed out from the Fire Spirit Supremacy's sleeve and turned into a red-haired old man. He looked exactly the same as the Fire Spirit Supremacy. His aura was actually at the late stage of the nascent soul realm. It was like a clone. The avatar waved his hand, and a ray of spiritual light caught Li Lanfeng's nascent soul and flew out of the cave. Soon, there were only two soul formation cultivators left. After a while, the Fire Spirit Supremacy said, "Junior brother, what do you think?" The Ice Spirit Supremacy said slowly, "The transformation tribulation of the demon race allowed them to have the meridians and dantian of the human race. When a body cultivator broke through to the nascent soul realm, there was a heavenly lightning tribulation. Obviously, it allowed the human race's physical body to break through some kind of limit. This is a terrifying technique. Judging from the heavenly lightning tribulation, the information that Su Junwan found should be true. When the body refining pavilion appeared, there was a heavenly lightning tribulation in the chaotic ocean. It was Lu Kuan's tribulation. At that time, the body refining pavilion only had one nascent soul realm body cultivator. When he broke through, he had the ability to kill a mid-stage nascent soul realm cultivator. Speaking of this, he raised his eyebrows and said, "But, junior brother, there is something strange. What kind of existence were the demon monkey and the demon race monsters that Li Lanfeng saw? Why did they go through the tribulation at the same time as a body cultivator? Did they also practice a body refining technique?" The Fire Spirit Supremacy shook his head and said, "I can't figure it out. However, based on all the signs, Lu Kuan's body refining technique has nothing to do with the Yuan sect. He created it himself." He said with a tone of amazement, "In 400 years, he cultivated from a low-level cultivator to the level of a soul formation cultivator. Although such talent is rare, it is not unprecedented in the history of the immortal cultivation realm. However, he created his own cultivation method. Moreover, it's a body refining cultivation method that has never appeared in the immortal cultivation world. He can no longer be described as a genius. Unless we have the confidence to kill such a person, we can only be friends with him, not enemies." The Ice Spirit Supremacy agreed and said, "Although I know that Lu Kuan has not really entered the soul formation realm and the power of the primordial spirit has a great cost, this guy's defense and speed have reached the soul formation realm. If we gather the soul formation cultivators of the Great Zhou dynasty and ambush him in an environment without demon chi, we may be able to kill him. However, according to Gu Deming, Lu Kuan can wear down the primordial spirit and resist the power of will. Obviously, he has the ability to defend his soul. Even if we take the risk to kill him, we may not be able to find his cultivation technique. And the other nascent soul realm body cultivators in the body refining pavilion have just broken through. I'm afraid they have not touched the power of the primordial spirit yet. The fire spirit supremacy took a deep breath and said, if you and I want to ascend to the upper realm, the new power of the primordial spirit is our only hope. Since we can't become enemies, we can solve it through negotiation. The ice spirit supremacy pondered for a moment and said, from the incident of the Taishan sect, we can see that this guy is not judged by common sense. If we show hostility, I'm afraid he will kill his way into the West Sea State alone. Except for us, no one in the Five Spirits Temple is his opponent. The fire spirit supremacy's eyes flashed with a thoughtful look. After a while, he raised 3 fingers and said slowly, 3 ways to negotiate. First, we propose a trade. The Five Spirits Temple is willing to offer treasures of heaven and earth, various techniques and secret techniques, and the cultivation technique of the power of the primordial spirit in exchange. Second, we use the upper realm to pressure him. With Lu Kuan's talent, he will not be willing to stay in this realm. However, the situation of the human race in the upper realm is much more dangerous than ours. He will definitely become the target of public criticism after he ascends with such techniques. If we cultivate the unique power of the primordial spirit and ascend to the upper realm together and form an alliance with each other, the risk will be much lower. At this point, the fire spirit supremacy's eyes flashed with coldness and said, if Lu Kuan still does not agree, we can only use force to pressure him and join forces to severely injure him. Then we can threaten him with the survival of the body refining pavilion. The body refining pavilion has the body refining technique, which can even allow mortals to refine their bodies and cultivate immortality. It has great potential, but it has only been established for a short period of time. The Five Spirits Temple alone can take it down. This guy can go against the disciples of the Great Zhou dynasty at all costs. We old guys can do the same. Unless Lu Kuan does not care about the body refining pavilion at all, he can only make a deal with us. The Ice Spirit Supremacy pondered for a moment and agreed. These 3 points can be said to be peaceful before resorting to force. As long as Lu Kuan has some sense, he will naturally choose to make a deal with us in exchange for the stable development of the body refining pavilion. However, if we want to use force to pressure him, how many people should we call? The Fire Spirit Supremacy said, that's right. Lu Kuan has the Demon Dragon Blade. Although you and I are not afraid, we are not confident that we can take him down. To be safe, it would be best if Gu Deming, Wu Wenxuan, and Old Monster Mo of the Blue Cloud sect are all there. They all want to leave the fake soul formation stage. Naturally, they will not refuse. As for the place where we meet Lu Kuan, we have to choose a place where the demonic chi and spiritual chi are both scarce. Then, we can use our thick true essence to suppress him. The Broken Kingdom happens to have such a place. The Ice Spirit Supremacy seemed to have thought of something and raised his eyebrows. Right, that old monk Ji Yuan followed us into the Broken Kingdom. He has always valued peace, so he will definitely stand on Lu Kuan's side. The Fire Spirit Supremacy squinted his eyes and said, this old monk has comprehended the power of will. Together with those Buddhist treasures, his abilities are not weak. However, our doppelgangers will be able to hold him back for a short period of time. Besides, it may not be a bad thing for the old monk to be there. If we really get into a fight with Lu Kuan, he can at least act as a mediator and be a peacemaker. The Ice Spirit Supremacy said, Senior Brother is right. Next, we might as well refine a few more 5 spirit plates and let Ji Yuan bring them to the body refining pavilion. If Lu Kuan brings a few more people with him, he will be more cautious when negotiating with us. All right. Chapter 12:28. A lot of things had happened in the Southwest cultivation world recently. The EU's secret realm had closed early. Rumor had it that several top demon beasts had escaped from the secret realm and were undergoing the metamorphosis thunder tribulation in the central state. The terrifying power of heaven and earth had even attracted the demonic chi in the surrounding states. However, the experts of the body refining pavilion had sealed off the central state, so no cultivator knew what had happened to those demon beasts. In addition, the most interesting thing for cultivators in the past 2 years was that the blood refining sect, which had lived in the Blood Demon Mountain range for tens of thousands of years, had moved from the South State to the West State and settled in the demonic Dragon Mountain. The Blood Demon Mountain range had been given to the body refining pavilion. Cultivators with keen eyes could see that the blood refining sect was in an awkward position. It could be said that they were surrounded by the body refining pavilion. The Master Lu was rumored to have the strength of a soul formation cultivator. Under such circumstances, it was not surprising that the sect had moved. The death abyss in the south state of the state of Qi. The ancient restriction had completely disappeared at some point, and a thick, cold air was rippling around. In the thick gray fog, cultivators with strong physiques flew by from time to time. Some of them were holding a disc, while others were holding various weapons. They seemed to be transforming the abyss. In the middle of the abyss, Pan Yin, a senior disciple of the body refining pavilion, and Li Qianfeng, 3 new bone transformation cultivators, were floating in the air. Pan Yin looked at the scene below with a strange expression. These undead creatures are too vigilant. They left the death abyss a long time ago. It seems that the strange movement of the demonic dragon mountain 90 years ago startled them. Li Qianfeng looked disappointed. I want to try the body refining demonic art, but it was all for naught. Pan Yin heard this and narrowed his eyes. Don't worry. There will be many battles in the body refining pavilion in the future. 2 years ago, when you were in the central state, the guy who was almost killed by Master should be a powerhouse from the Great Zhou dynasty. Obviously, those cultivators still haven't given up on the body refining technique. They might have investigated the strength of the body refining pavilion. If Master is entangled with a few soul formation cultivators, with our current strength, I'm afraid we will face a difficult battle. Therefore, in the next few years, you must do everything you can to improve your strength. Li Qianfeng and the others looked solemn. Martial uncle. Yeah, Elder Shi's remnant restriction is quite powerful. While speaking, the 4 cultivators flew towards the abyss. At the bottom of the death abyss, in a cave with an extremely dense, cold aura, 2 figures stood on the grayish-black rock floor. One of them was tall and sturdy with short hair and a square face, while the other was well-proportioned with a bald head and a horse face. They were Lu Kuan and Hong Yuntian at this time. Hong Yuntian's upper body was naked, and he was holding a magic stone in each hand. On his white and tender skin, there were dense purplish-black dots. These dots were about the size of a thumb, and the surrounding dense yin qi was constantly gathering towards them. After an unknown period of time, the dots stopped and outlined complicated lines under his skin. Other than that, his bones, blood vessels, and even his internal organs were dotted with purplish-black lines. It was as if every part of his body was engraved with countless strange purple-black totem patterns. After a while, Hong Yuntian's eyelids trembled slightly, and he opened his eyes. He looked at his body and sighed. The power of life is indeed magical. With its help, the demonic zombie essence has been distributed to every part of my body through the nervous system. If the true demonic will enters the body, with the spinal cord as the core, it can spread to the nervous system of the whole body. Then, with the bloodline division method we researched, we can gradually condense the true demonic bloodline. His pitch-black eyes flashed with excitement. When these purplish-black patterns completely disappear, the true demon bloodline will be completed. At that time, with the support of this bloodline, the liquid human essence can also solidify into a solid state. It's like the body has returned to the human race, but with the addition of the true demonic bloodline, the body's basic strength will increase by at least 1,000,000 kilograms. Lu Kuan nodded and said, Brother Hong's blood essence will be many times stronger with the help of the bloodline. Even without Lu's blood essence, I can use the secret sealing technique to seal the bloodthirsty will that appears from time to time. The safety of my soul will be greatly increased. Hong Yintian looked at the totem patterns outside his body and calmed himself down. He said, I still have to continue perfecting this bloodline separation technique in the process of cultivation. After all, the basic technique was tested on the bloodline of the long-armed demon ape. Lu Kuan smiled and said, We've already thought about it over and over again. There shouldn't be any problems, just some minor changes. However, this Lu hopes that Brother Hong can wait until the Broken Kingdom is over before entering into a state of cultivation. Hong Yintian squinted his eyes and said, You are worried about those fake divine transformation realm cultivators of the Great Zhou dynasty? Lu Kuan nodded. That's right. If Brother Hong officially starts cultivating the true demonic bloodline, your form will solidify into a human form. Although you can still use the secret fusion technique, the demon zombie essence cannot release any energy. It can only increase your strength by 500,000 kilograms. In this way, after we fuse our strength, we can only reach 1,070,000 kilograms. Lu's demon ape transformation and demon dragon saber have a limit to the number of times they can attack. It's not safe, but the fusion technique can fight for a quarter of an hour. Even if we encounter a dangerous situation, we can still protect ourselves. Hong Yintian was silent for a moment and then said, Okay, then we'll wait a bit. I also want to see what kind of fighting strength the fusion technique has. Speaking of this, he seemed to think of something and his eyebrows rose. That's right. Didn't you say that this bloodline division method can help you enter the late stage of bone transformation? There are still 8 years. You can try to break through and then go to the Great Zhou dynasty. Lu Kuan bitterly smiled. This is just my speculation. Whether it will work or not, I don't know. Hong Yintian was somewhat curious. With your body's aptitude, what kind of bottleneck did you encounter when you reached the peak of the middle stage of bone transformation? Lu Kuan slowly said, Brother Hong should know that the late stage of bone transformation is when blood transforms into bones. But because Lu's bone treasure has fused with the silver dragon meteorite iron, it is too strong for blood to break through. According to my estimation, my blood needs to increase by at least 20% before I have a chance to break through the boundary of the bone treasure and complete the blood bone transformation. But at this time, my blood can no longer be increased through cultivation. I can only use external objects to strengthen my blood to have a chance to break through. Hong Yintian was somewhat enlightened. I understand. You want to find a strong bloodline and divide it into the power of will and the origin of blood. If the bloodline is strong enough, the origin of blood can strengthen your blood. Lu Kuan said, That's right. If Lu can obtain a bloodline that is equal to or stronger than the long-armed demon ape, he can use the origin of blood to increase the strength of his blood. Hong Yintian slowly shook his head. It seems that your method is almost impossible. Even in ancient times, the long-armed demon ape was the top demon bloodline. There was almost no one stronger than it. Speaking of this, his eyes suddenly flashed with reminiscence. That's right. I remember that the Yuan sect still has some long-armed demon ape blood left. It is sealed in a forbidden area. But tens of thousands of years have passed. Not to mention whether the Yuan sect has brought it to the upper realm. Yuan country is probably very different from before. I'm not sure if I can find it. Lu Kuan shook his head and said, Brother Hong, you are wrong. In today's immortal cultivation world, there is a demon bloodline that is comparable to the long-armed demon ape. What? Lu Kuan turned his head and looked towards the southwest. He slowly spat out 4 words. True dragon bloodline. Chapter 1229. It had been more than 200 years since the Battle of the Thousand Tides in the Shiyuan state of Chu. Those immortal mountains surrounded by spiritual qi were now shrouded in dense demon qi. Since the land demons migrated to the land of the Shiyuan state, the strength of the major clans had been growing rapidly. In the inland sea, the cubs of the demon clan not only had low survival ability, but also had a low chance of awakening into demonic beasts. Even if there were demon cultivators above level 8, the development of the clan was very slow. But now, under the nourishment of the dense demon chi and earth chi in the Shiyuan state, more and more cubs entered the ranks of demonic beasts. The strength of high-level demon cultivators had also made breakthroughs, and many new level 8 demonic beasts were even born. The one who brought all these changes to the land demons was the Kuei Ox King, the top expert of the demon clan. The 100-foot mountain, where his armor-cracking ox clan lived, had become the holy land of the demon clan in the Shiyuan state. On this day, in the sky above the 100-foot mountain, two human figures suddenly appeared. One had short hair and a square face, and the other was bald and horse-faced. They were Lu Kuan and Hong Yintian, who had rushed over from the body refining pavilion. Because they did not hide their figures, they were discovered by the demon clan in the 100-foot mountain range not long after they appeared. Accompanied by the sound of ox cries, 3 strong black oxen and a tall minotaur soared into the sky from the dense demon chi. These black oxen had a pair of white horns, and their bodies were covered in black scales. Each of them was at the peak of level 7. "Who are you? How dare you trespass on the 100-foot mountain? Leave quickly, or don't blame me for being rude." The one who spoke was the ox demon. He was 9 feet tall, and his body was covered in a layer of black scales. His limbs were inlaid with huge ox hooves, and between the milky white horns on his head was a tuft of flowing green hair. He exuded a pressure comparable to the nascent soul stage. TSK, this Kuei Ox King is not simple. In just over 200 years, he has managed the demon clan in the Shiyuan state in good order. When the demonic beasts see the cultivators, they don't attack immediately. Lu Kuan looked at the level 8 ox demon with interest. Hong Yintian said impatiently, "Lu Kuan, didn't you say you were going to the inland sea? What are you doing here? Even if there's a real Kuei cow here, its bloodline is still a bit weak." This Class 8 bull demon looked at the two of them cautiously. The two of them did not reveal any aura. Since they were able to sneak into the depths of the 100-foot mountain, they were naturally immortal cultivators above the nascent soul realm. When Lu Kuan looked at it, the scales on its body suddenly trembled. It felt as if it was facing its own king. "You look familiar, Lu Kuan." "Ah, I remember now. You're the Master Lu of the body, refining pavilion." The bull demon seemed to have thought of something, and the green hair on his head couldn't help but tremble. His eyes widened, and other than fear, there was also some curiosity in his eyes. Many years ago, the Kuei Cow King had organized the information of the surrounding immortal cultivator sects and experts into a book and sent it to all the shape-shifting demons in the Western Plains state, in order to prevent some reckless demons from clashing with the immortal cultivators and ruining this hard-won period of development. Among the surrounding cultivator sects, the body refining pavilion was the one that could not be provoked the most. It was said that the people inside all had tyrannical bodies and were even more terrifying than the demons, especially that Master Lu, who had used his fist to smash the level 10 peak turtle demon in the outer sea. Thinking of this, the bull demon couldn't help but secretly look at the other's palm. He secretly gestured in his heart, but he couldn't understand. This small palm was so much smaller than his hooves and didn't look hard. How could it break the defense of a level 10 demonic beast? Lu Kuan looked at the bull demon who was staring at him. The bull demon's wide eyes looked a little silly, and he couldn't help but laugh. "Yes, I am Lu. Today I've come to the 100-foot mountain to visit the Kuei Ox King. Please inform him." "Ah, you want to see my king? Wait here, I'll go inform him now." The bull demon shuddered under Lu Kuan's stare, and he turned around and disappeared into the demon fog below. As for the other 3 level 7 bull demons, they seemed to have understood who Lu Kuan was. They grinned and bared their teeth to show their friendliness. "Brother Hong, this Kuei Ox King has some connections with the Flood Dragon clan. Ask about the current strength of the Outer Sea Demon clan." Although Lu knows that the old Dragon King has fallen, there is still a clan that has been ruled by the Demon King for tens of thousands of years. They can't be underestimated. This true dragon's blood was formed when the old Dragon King awakened his atavistic bloodline, similar to this Kueox King. I'd like to know more about the atavistic bloodline. Lu Kuan explained when he saw the bull demon go to report. Hong Yuntian nodded slightly, then closed his eyes and continued to deduce and perfect the cultivation method for the devil transformation stage. About half an hour later, a gap suddenly appeared in the thick demonic fog below, and a deep voice that sounded like muffled thunder came out. I didn't expect Master Lu to come visit. Your presence brings light to the 100-foot mountain. A burly man dressed in animal hide slowly flew out from the demon fog. Apart from his height of more than 10 feet and thick leg, he looked almost no different from a human. Even the bull horns on his head were gone. Lu Kuan said softly, "It's been more than 200 years since we last met. Brother Ox, your cultivation has already reached the pinnacle of level 10. I'm afraid it won't be long before you try to break through to Demon King. Congratulations." The Kueox King was shocked, then smiled bitterly. "I can't hide my cultivation from Master Lu's golden light divine eye. By the way, this fellow Taoist seems unfamiliar. May I know who he is?" Lu Kuan said, "I forgot to introduce him. This is the Grand Elder of our pavilion, Hong Yuntian." The Kueox King looked at Hong Yuntian carefully again. He couldn't sense the energy in him, but he could sense that Hong Yuntian was only a level 8 or 9 demon. He bowed. "So it's fellow Taoist Hong. Greetings." Hong Yuntian's eyes were still closed. He snorted softly as a greeting. Lu Kuan said apologetically, "Brother Hong has a strange temper. I hope you don't mind." The Kueox King waved his hand. "This is not the place to catch up. Please come in." Following that, Lu Kuan and Hong Yuntian passed through the thick yellow demon fog below and entered the 100-foot mountain. Along the way, they encountered quite a number of bull demons. There were more than 10 of them that were above level 5. Furthermore, Lu Kuan could sense that there were quite a number of demon cultivators that were above level 8 living nearby. It was clear that the Broken Armor Bull clan was not weak. Soon, the 2 humans and 1 demon walked into a vast cave and sat down on a few stone chairs wrapped in animal skins. The Kueox King smiled. "I've only entertained fellow Taoists here. It's not as exquisite as the abodes of cultivators. I hope you don't mind." Lu Kuan sat on the stone chair and adjusted it to a more comfortable position. "It's much more comfortable than those wooden chairs." The Kueox King looked at the defenseless Lu Kuan and then at Hong Yuntian, who was sitting cross-legged on the stone chair with his eyes closed. He was a little confused. Although he had been cultivating in seclusion all these years, he had been paying attention to the news of the immortal cultivation world. It was rumored that Lu Kuan had the strength of a soul formation cultivator, which he found unbelievable. Could it be that after so many years, he had broken through to the soul formation stage? Moreover, he found out by chance that the Tao spiritual master had died at his hands. This made this level 10 demon, shape-shifting cultivator, very wary of him. The Kueox King looked quite friendly, but in fact he had already notified all the shape-shifting cultivators in the 100-foot mountain to prepare for battle. If Lu Kuan was here for him, he might fight to the death. After all, this person fought the spirit-devouring sea turtle many years ago for the body of a level 10 demon shape-shifting cultivator. He was now at the same level. After exchanging a few pleasantries, the Kueox King's expression turned serious. "I wonder what Master Lu has come to the 100-foot mountain this time." Lu Kuan seemed to sense the other party's nervousness. Half lying on the bee's skin, he smiled gently. "Brother Ox, don't think too much. Lu came here with no ill intentions. I just want to ask you about some matters regarding the Flood Dragon tribe." Hearing this, the Kueox King heaved a sigh of relief, but then a strange expression appeared on his face. "The Flood Dragon tribe? Master Lu also received the news?" This sentence made Lu Kuan curious. News? Lu wanted to go to the outer sea, but it was also a sudden decision. "Brother Ox, did something happen to the Flood Dragon tribe? Chapter 1230. The Kuei Cow King saw Lu Kuan's expression and realized that he really did not know what was going on. He thought for a while and said, "That's true. With the Flood Dragon tribe's arrogance, they would never seek help from cultivators." Lu Kuan asked, "What happened in the outer seas that the Flood Dragon tribe needed help?" The Kuei Cow King hesitated and said, "Why did Master Lu go to the outer seas?" Lu Kuan did not hide anything. He narrowed his eyes and said, "Blood of the true dragon." When the Kuei Cow King heard these words, his expression changed slightly. He then sighed and said, "It seems that the news of the old Dragon King's death has already spread. Even if the Sea Tribe avoids this crisis, they will have to face more enemies. Unless there is a Demon King in charge, unfortunately, back then." Lu Kuan narrowed his eyes and said, "Brother Cow, are you saying that some forces have already found the Flood Dragon tribe?" The Kuei Cow King said, "It's the demons of the Five Dragon Sea." Lu Kuan raised his eyebrows. He naturally knew about the Five Dragon Sea. It was the sea to the west of the Great Zhou dynasty. It was extremely vast and had many islands. Many independent cultivators lived there. However, the demons were even more powerful. It was said that there was a demon king in charge. The Kuei Cow King continued, "2 years ago, the leader of the Flood Dragon tribe sent a message, hoping that I could go and help. However, we land demons are in a period of recuperation and do not dare to take risks." He looked a little sad. When the old Dragon King was still alive, the outer sea was so powerful that the Five Dragon Seas couldn't compare to it at all. But now that the Dragon King has fallen and the outer sea has gone through a round of internal strife, their strength has plummeted. I'm afraid that the Swanee Dragon King will not even need to act. The Sea Tribe in the outer seas will be taken down by the Five Dragon Sea. Hong Yintian, who had his eyes closed all this time, suddenly opened them when he heard this. He said with a tone of surprise, "Swanee? There are still such high-level demons in the immortal cultivation world?" Lu Kuan heard the word Swanee and found it familiar, but he could not recall where he had heard it. He frowned and said, "Swanee? What kind of demon is that? Is it also a dragon?" Without waiting for the Kuei Cow King to speak, Hong Yintian said, "The Swanee is a mix of the ancient true dragon and other top demons. It is not weaker than a real dragon." When Lu Kuan heard this, he suddenly thought of the ancient legends on Earth. With a strange expression, he said, "Are there 8 other types of dragon bloodlines similar to Tao Wu?" Hong Yintian glanced at Lu Kuan with some surprise before nodding and saying, "That's right. There are indeed 8 types. I didn't expect you to know so much about the ancient dragon clan." Swanee on the Dragon Sea is Swanee. Swanee's blood is Swanee on Swanee. Swanee on Swanee. That is Swanee on a long Swanee. Swanee with Swanee have a Swanee. Swanee Soot Swanee is Swanee. Swanee have been sway on it. Swanee is Sue. Was Swanee. The dragon had 9 sons, but each son was different. This was a legend from the ancient times on Earth. He didn't expect to hear the same legend in the cultivation world. Although the characters were different, the pronunciation of Bayan couldn't be wrong. With the addition of the 4 divine monkeys, it was obvious that this place was related to ancient Earth. Actually, that Swanee Dragon King has only awakened a sliver of its bloodline power. It is still very different from a real dragon beast. Even so, it is still stronger than the average demon king. As the Kuei Cow King spoke, he observed the expressions of the 2 people before him. Judging from the tone of the 2 humans, they didn't seem to be afraid of the Swanee Dragon King. Lu Kuan was one of them. It was rumored that he had the strength to fight against soul formation cultivators. But the guy named Hong Yintian next to him didn't seem to be afraid either. Could it be that both of them had the strength to fight a demon king? Lu Kuan had a look of realization as he said, "So it's only a trace of bloodline. In that case, the Bayan Dragon King's goal is also the blood of a true dragon?" The Kuei Cow King's thunderous voice became much softer. "It is extremely difficult for an ordinary flood dragon to refine the blood of a true dragon, even if they are at level 10. But for the Bayan Dragon King, it is very simple. After refining the blood of a true dragon, its bloodline will become purer. Even if it can't break through to the next level, its strength will increase greatly. I'm afraid it won't be that easy for Master Lu to get the blood of a true dragon. The old Dragon King has been working in the outer sea for many years. The seal of the Dragon Palace is extremely powerful. It can withstand the attack of a soul formation cultivator. Now that he has entered the outer sea, he will run into the demons of the 5 dragon seas. Lu Kuan came back to his senses. He narrowed his eyes and said, "So the 5 dragon seas and the demons of the outer sea are in a stalemate." Hearing this, the Kuei Cow King suddenly took out a crystal clear shell. He threw it out and said, "This is a message from Ao Chun, the leader of the Flood Dragon clan. Please take a look, Master Lu." Lu Kuan took it and scanned it with his divine sense. The contents came to his mind. He muttered, 2 years ago, the 5 dragon seas started to attack the outer sea." Thinking about the information he obtained in the Zhou dynasty, his eyes flashed with contemplation. The 5 Spirits Temple is located in the West Sea State. It intimidates the demons of the 5 dragon seas. To guard against immortal cultivators, the Bai and Dragon King only dares to mobilize his men when the broken country is near. If Lu's guess is correct, when the broken country truly opens, this guy will personally rush to the outer sea. The Kuei Cow King's expression was a little unnatural. The 5 Spirits Temple that Master Lu mentioned, could it be a cultivation sect of the Zhou dynasty? They can actually suppress the 5 dragon seas? Lu Kuan said slowly, "Brother Cow, you probably don't know. This number 1 sect of the Zhou dynasty has 2 soul formation cultivators and many nascent soul cultivators. Unless the 5 dragon seas has a second demon king, they won't be a match for the 5 Spirits Temple." The Kuei Cow King's expression was a little shocked. After all, he was a demon. He could obtain information about the southwest immortal world, but the distant Zhou dynasty had no way of knowing. After a long time, he sighed. The immortal world today is indeed the world of humans. The demons are on the decline. I'm afraid they can only protect themselves. Lu Kuan said, "Brother Cow's talent is extraordinary. In the future, you also have hopes of entering the Demon King realm. Other than the situation of the Flood Dragon clan, Lu has another matter to consult you about." "Master Lu, please speak." Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with a golden light. "Dare I ask, Brother Cow, how did you comprehend your atavistic bloodline?" Hearing this, the Kuei Cow King said blankly, "Atavistic bloodline? I inexplicably awakened it when I broke through to become a level 5 demon. I didn't rely on any comprehension." Inexplicably awakened? Lu Kuan's expression froze. He then asked, "Then how does your atavistic bloodline compare to the Kuei Cow of ancient times?" Hearing this, the Kuei Cow King thought of what the other party was plotting. He couldn't help but feel a chill run down his spine. Lu Kuan smiled. "Brother Cow, don't worry. Lu does need the help of the demon bloodline. However, the Kuei Cow bloodline is inferior to the giant long-armed ape. It won't be of much use." Only then did the Kuei Cow King remember that the other party's bloodline was not inferior to that of a true dragon. His expression relaxed. He organized his words. According to the information in the bloodline inheritance, atavistic bloodline is purely based on luck. However, the higher the potential of the demon descendant, the greater the chance of awakening. Compared to the real Kuei Cow, my current bloodline is much weaker. Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with a thoughtful look. He asked again, "Many years ago, the spirit-devouring sea turtle swallowed the Xian turtle bloodline. That was why it was confident of breaking through the Demon King bottleneck. A high-level bloodline is helpful for a Demon King's breakthrough." The Kuei Cow King nodded. Now that the world has changed, the berserk will in the blood of ordinary demons is extremely rare. It's almost impossible to break through. Only demons with powerful bloodlines can borrow the rich berserk will in the bloodline inheritance to complete the breakthrough. After atavistic bloodline, the berserk will be even more abundant. Naturally, it's easier to enter the Demon King realm. Lu Kuan said. In that case, the old Dragon King broke through to the Demon King realm because he awakened the true dragon's bloodline. The Kuei Cow King's expression was somewhat reverent. The old Dragon King's talent was astonishing. He did not use the berserk will to break through. Instead, he comprehended the prideful will unique to the true dragon's bloodline. The strength of his Abhijna was almost equal to that of the demon kings of ancient times. This prideful will not only has astonishing control over the Yuan Qi of heaven and earth, it also has a special suppressive effect on the berserk will of other demons. The Swanee Dragon King also had atavistic bloodline, but he was no match for the old Dragon King. Lu Kuan thought of the Thousand Tides formation many years ago, and the will he felt on the Yuan Qi shield. His eyes narrowed. It seems that we have to think of a way to get the true dragon's bloodline. The Kuei Cow King hesitated. Master Lu, do you plan to directly attack the Flood Dragon tribe? He laughed softly. Lu doesn't want to take it by force. I hope that Brother Cow will come with us. Otherwise, when those Flood Dragons see Lu, they will probably fight directly. There will be no room for negotiation. The Kuei Cow King's expression changed. He hesitated, but as the pressure in the air grew heavier and heavier, he nodded with difficulty. If that's the case, I will accompany Master Lu. Chapter 12:31. In the depths of the outer sea, in a vast abyss at the bottom of the sea, a pale blue halo was shining. The spiritual light was like a giant bowl placed upside down on the seabed, covering an area of more than 10 miles. Outside this huge halo shield, more than 30 sea beasts with profound auras were swimming. Their terrifying demonic spiritual auras filled the entire abyss. If there were cultivators here, they would be horrified to find that every sea beast here had a terrifying cultivation base of at least tier 8. Their monstrous demonic auras were connected to each other, like a thick yellow spiritual belt that wrapped around the blue restriction. Through the hazy restriction's spiritual light, 9 thick stone pillars, hundreds of feet tall, could be faintly seen surrounding a magnificent underwater palace. This was the Dragon Palace of the Outer Seas, Jiao Dragon Clan. In the depths of the palace was a huge square with 13 sea beasts of different appearances occupying the jade floor. Among them, the most conspicuous one was a huge whale. Its huge body was more than 60 feet long, like a small mountain. Mixed with its tier 10 demonic spiritual aura, a terrifying oppressive feeling spread out. Beside this whale monster, there was a pair of light blue carps with long legs. There are also 10 flood dragons around them. Their bodies range from 30 feet to 30 feet long. They all had 4 legs, dragon heads, and snake bodies. The only difference was the color of their scales. At this time, all the sea beasts were looking at the front. It was a strange sea beast that was only about 10 feet long. It had a head similar to a Jiao dragon, but its body was like a cheetah covered in pale golden scales. The demonic spiritual aura surging in its body was even more vigorous than that of the giant whale. It had reached the pinnacle of tier 10. Suddenly, the sea beast with the body of a leopard and the head of a dragon opened its mouth. Strands of golden silk were spat out from its mouth, gradually forming a thumb-sized ball of golden blood. An incomparably arrogant intent spread out. The other 12 sea beasts immediately prostrated themselves on the floor with deep reverence in their eyes. A hoarse voice came from the mouth of the strange dragon beast. Prepare the bloodline reversal array. I'm going to use the remaining true dragon blood to replenish your body and strengthen your Jiao dragon bloodline. Hearing this, all the sea beasts were in an uproar, especially the Jiao dragons. They blew their beards and wagged their tails as if they were very emotional. Patriarch, the true dragon's blood is related to your breakthrough. That's right. Clan leader, you have already awakened the Yazi bloodline. With the help of the remaining true dragon's blood, your chances of breaking through to the Dragon King realm have greatly increased. Only with the Dragon King presiding over it can the outer seas resist the annexation of the 5 dragon seas. We don't have enough potential, and don't deserve to have the true dragon's blood. Clan leader, please reconsider. This flood dragon with the body of a leopard and the head of a dragon was the current chief of the flood dragon race in the outer sea, Ao-chun. He looked at the excited clansmen around him and sighed softly. Actually, the awakening of the Yazi bloodline means that the refinement of the true dragon's blood has failed. It is impossible to break through in a short time. The other sea beasts were shocked when they heard this. How can this be? The Yazi's bloodline is comparable to the true dragon's. It should be easier to refine the true dragon's blood. Patriarch, please try again. Ao-chan looked at his body and said slowly, after transforming into a Yazi, it is similar to when I first advanced to rank 8. I will need to spend at least 20 years to refine my physical body. During this time, I will not be able to refine the true dragon's blood or make a breakthrough. At this moment, the giant whale opened its huge mouth and a deep voice came out with the ripples of the sea water. Then all the more reason why clan leader should keep the true dragon's blood. With us protecting you with our lives, clan leader will definitely be able to break through and take back the outer sea. Yes, let us protect clan leader and break through. Ao-chan shook his head and said, don't worry, there is no need to take such a risk. Not long ago, old Kuei Cow contacted me through the echo shell. He said that the master of the body refining pavilion will come and help us defeat the strong enemies of the 5 dragon seas. A half-demon with the bloodline of the long-armed giant ape? The human cultivator who killed Elder Turtle? I heard that the cultivators of the body refining pavilion have bodies that are even more terrifying than the demons. I wonder if it is true. How many people have come to the body refining pavilion? There are 3 rank 10 flood dragons and more than 20 transformed sea beasts outside. Moreover, those sea beasts who betrayed us might even help the 5 dragon seas. Many years ago, during the Battle of the Thousand Tides formation, Kuei Cow King had secretly cooperated with the flood dragons. These dragon beasts naturally knew of Lu Kuen's actions. Ao-chen's eyes flashed with a strange light. Old Kuei Cow didn't say how many body cultivators there are in the body refining pavilion, but he sounded very confident. However, this Master Lu isn't helping us for no reason. His goal is also the true dragon's blood. The giant whale looked at the pale golden blood floating in the sea. Its lantern-sized eyes flashed with confusion. If the body refining pavilion is confident in driving away the forces of the 5 dragon seas, then we are definitely no match for them. Clan leader, why are you still? Oh, Chun snorted coldly. There is no good in the human race. Even without the 5 dragon seas, this Lu Kuen will still come to us. The true dragon's blood was condensed by Father's true yuan and blood essence. There is no way he will give it to the human race. I have my ways to deal with the body refining pavilion. The most important thing now is to increase everyone's strength and escape while the 2 sides are fighting. If that's the case, then we should keep the true dragon's blood. We will protect clan leader with our lives. We will protect him with our lives. We will protect him with our lives. The roars of all kinds of sea beasts reverberated throughout the palace. When Ao-chan saw this, a hint of guilt appeared in his eyes. Back then, Father fought to the death with the soul formation stage old monster of the spirit transformation sect. He has already overdrawn our bloodline. I can't make the same mistake again. The strength of an entire race cannot depend on one person. If the true dragon's blood is reversed into your bodies using a secret technique, your flood dragon bloodline will become even purer. Not only will you have a higher chance of breaking through in the future, but your chances of having children will also be greatly increased. There was a hint of determination in his eyes. Furthermore, after the true dragon's blood is reversed, there is no way to refine it. Even if you kill us, it will be useless. If these 2 groups of enemies come to an agreement and join forces, then even if we die in battle, we will not let them succeed. But clan leader, Ao-chan shouted angrily, shut up, I'm still the clan leader. Prepare the bloodline reversal array. As he spoke, A formless aura surged out from his leopard body and dragon head. The flood dragons that were about to persuade him stopped as their eyes were filled with respect. Yes, clan leader. On a rock somewhere in the abyss, there were 3 figures standing quietly. Their bodies were filled with a terrifying demonic aura. Their figures were almost no different from humans. It was clear that they were all fearsome 10th-tier demonic beasts. The middle-aged man in the lead was tall and big. There was a 3-inch-long golden horn on his head, which made him look quite imposing. On the right was an old man. His hair and beard were extremely thick, and there was a faint yellow glow on them. His cheeks and lips were huge, and his face was full of wrinkles. He looked quite ugly. The woman standing on the other side had fair skin and beautiful features. She wore a sparkling, light blue armor, and there were 2 small, curved horns embedded on her forehead. After an unknown period of time, the Golden Horn Man looked at the dragon palace below. He blinked and sighed. The Outer Sea Dragon King actually left so much quintessence in this dragon palace. Even if this restriction remains open, it should be able to last for 100 years. When the ugly old man heard this, he shook his head and said, "That Dragon King has lived for 30,000 years. Naturally, he has a lot of quintessence stored. We do not have any Fiend King-level magic skills, so we cannot break it." The beautiful woman curled her lips and said, "These flood dragons of the outer sea are really arrogant. They are already so weak, but they are still unwilling to join the 5 dragon seas. They are stubbornly holding on here. Do they think that Ao-Chun can become a Fiend King?" The Golden Horn Man snorted coldly. Back then, the old Dragon King overdrew on the bloodline of this flood dragon race in order to extend his lifespan. Not only do the flood dragons have very few descendants, but their talents are also getting worse with each generation. It is said that Ao-Chun is a descendant that the old Dragon King gave birth to using a secret technique. His bloodline is not pure. It is impossible for him to refine the true dragon's blood in 200 years. The fiend race should be united. This Ao-Chun is really as stubborn as the old Dragon King. The Outer Sea Fiend race has gone through internal strife. Their strength has weakened to such a degree. It is no wonder that the other sea fiends have pledged their allegiance to us. If they continue like this, the immortal cultivators will come knocking on their door sooner or later. The beautiful woman stuck out her nimble tongue and licked her plump lips. In less than 8 years, Royal Father will come. At that time, it will be fine if these flood dragons voluntarily hand over the true dragon's blood. However, if they continue to be stubborn, don't blame us for not caring about our kinsmen. The Golden Horn Man nodded lightly. Soon after, he thought of something and said, "The Jade Horn Snake said that Ao-Chun asked for help from the Land Fiend race. Although we are strong enough, we cannot slack off. If the Land Fiend race..." Halfway through his words, the Golden Horn Man suddenly raised his head and looked up. His eyes flashed with surprise. "Wait, something seems to be coming. This aura..." Chapter 1232. As soon as the Golden Horn Man's voice fell, the other 2 also sensed something and looked up at the abyss. Within the range of their divine sense, there was a blurry water ball shooting toward them. Its surface seemed to be covered with a layer of unique energy, which agitated the water. It swam with the help of some terrible thrust, and its speed was amazing. Wherever it passed, cone-shaped ripples were squeezed out of the water and rolled to both sides. It hit the cliff of the abyss and made a loud rumbling sound. As the water ball fell into the abyss, more than 30 sea beasts below also noticed it. However, whether it was them or the Golden Horn Man's trio, they could not sense any spiritual fluctuations from the water ball. The beautiful woman murmured, "It looks like a sea beast that uses its body to travel, but with such a terrifying speed, I have never heard of such an existence. Or is it a special magic weapon of an immortal cultivator?" The Golden Horn Man narrowed his eyes and said, "It shouldn't be an immortal cultivator. I can sense the aura of demon spirit power in the water ball. It is very vigorous. It is likely to be a peak level 10 monster beast. However, this monster beast is so arrogant. It doesn't put our 5 dragon C's in its eyes. As he spoke, he raised his right hand. Vigorous demon spirit powers surged, and a mini dragon claw wrapped in golden light shot out from his hand. In the flight, the mini dragon claw's spiritual power was tumbling. The surrounding spiritual energy in the sea water was attracted and added to the claw. It was gradually increasing in size. After flying for 1,000 feet in the sea, it had expanded to 10 feet in size, exuding a fierce pressure. It was like a huge dragon, fiercely grabbing at the falling water ball. There seemed to be a cold snort from the water ball. The blurry ripples on the surface flowed, and a deformed hand with muscle lumps stretched out. There were 4 layers of silver ripples flashing on it. It also attracted the spiritual energy of the world, wrapping it into a light palm of 4 feet in size. 1 gold and 1 silver, 1 big and 1 small, the 2 palms directly bombarded together. Accompanied by an extremely dull bombardment, the golden dragon claw trembled violently. It only lasted for a breath of time before it completely collapsed, turning into little spiritual lights and disappearing in the sea water. What kind of divine ability is this? The Golden Horn Man's expression changed slightly. Earlier, he felt a continuous and terrifying vibration force surging into his golden claw. It brutally disintegrated the spiritual energy inside. His expression immediately became solemn. His clear voice traveled through the seawater, carrying a unique dignity. I am Yuan Jun, the son of the 5 dragons, Sea Swanee Dragon King. May I ask which demonic friend has come? Hearing that, the ball of water slowed down, stopping over 150 meters away. The blurry water dispersed, revealing the figures of 3 men. They were Lu Kuan, Hong Yuntian, and the Kuei Ox King who had hurried over from the Shiyuan province. The Golden Horn Man, Yuan Jun, recognized the one-legged man at a glance. He raised an eyebrow and said, Kuei Cow King, you are a land demon. Lu Kuan chuckled and said, Brother Nyo is only here to help. Lu is the owner of the body refining pavilion in the southwest cultivation world. Lu Kuan, this is Hong Yuntian, the grand elder of our pavilion. His words immediately attracted the other party's attention. Immortal Cultivators, Body Refining Pavilion? Hearing the name of this sect, Yuan Jun and the other 2 naturally associated it with a cultivation technique that specialized in cultivating the physical body. They could not help but look a little confused. Could it be that they had stayed in the 5 Dragons Sea for too long, and even immortal cultivators could cultivate the physical body? Lu Kuan scanned the 2 men and the woman with his golden eyes. He clicked his tongue and said, The 5 Dragons Sea is indeed powerful, casually sending out 3 10th level flood dragons and so many shape-shifted sea demons. Yuan Jun said coldly, So it's Master Lu. What? Immortal cultivators want to interfere with the matters of our demon race. Lu Kuan nodded and said calmly, That's right. Lu has protected the Flood Dragon clan in the Outer Sea. For the sake of the Swanee Dragon King, as long as you leave this place immediately, I can spare your lives. When the ugly old man and the beautiful woman heard this, they were stunned. Even if the other party was a great cultivator, there were only 3 of them, while they had more than 30 shape-shifted sea demons to help them. They should be the ones saying this. When Yuan Jun heard this, the demonic spiritual energy in his body could not help but surge. He was so angry that he laughed and said, I haven't met such an arrogant immortal cultivator in a long time. I like to see if your strength is as big as your words. Since that's the case, Lu won't be polite. Lu Kuan laughed loudly. The seawater around him surged, and he charged straight down towards the dense demonic aura below. It seemed that he wanted to fight against the 30 shape-shifted sea demons by himself. At the same time, a bloodthirsty red light flashed in Hong Yuntian's eyes. A deep demonic aura surged out from his body. Purplish-black scales appeared on his skin, and bone spikes grew out of every joint. He grew to over 9 feet tall, and the seawater within 3 feet of him became blurry. It was as if there was some kind of special energy around him. He charged towards the 3/10th grade flood dragons. When Yuan Jun saw this, his expression changed drastically. How can there be a high-level demon in the immortal cultivation world? Third sister, dragon human form. Fifth uncle, watched from the side. His attention was immediately attracted by Hong Yintian. As for Lu Kuan, who was charging down, he did not care at all. Unless it was a soul formation cultivator, no immortal cultivator would be able to fight against so many shape-shifted sea demons. As soon as he finished speaking, Yuan Jun's body also began to expand. A layer of faint golden flood dragon scales appeared all over his body. His limbs became thick, and his palms turned into four-fingered dragon claws. A thick tail grew out his back, and he turned into a half-human, half-dragon. The beautiful woman beside him was the same, but her body was slightly smaller. The scales on her body turned fiery red, and there was a faint layer of unknown flames on the surface. Then, the two dragon humans charged out directly. As for the ugly old man, he still looked the same, but his hands were making complicated gestures. The surrounding seawater solidified and covered the bodies of the three people, as if adding a layer of spiritual light armor. On the other side, the Kuei Cow King stared blankly at Hong Yuntian's demon form. He felt the terrifying pressure, and his face was full of shock. He thought of Lu Kuan's instructions and muttered to himself. His hands flashed with gestures, and two watermelon-sized thunderballs with a faint purple glow shot forward. Although the Kuei Cow King was a land demon, the thunder and lightning he was proficient and was more powerful in the sea. He was even faster than Hong Yintian and arrived first. Big brother, let me. The red dragon human form paused. His claws shone with a blinding light, and two flaming dragon claws flew out. Rumble, the red and purple light collided, and flames exploded and thunder roared. Large amounts of seawater were evaporated, and circles of terrifying undercurrents were formed. Being held back by the Kuei Cow King, only the golden dragon human faced Hong Yintian. The 9-foot-tall demon's body was surrounded by a layer of black flowing light. Half of the spiritual chi of heaven and earth that was originally attracted by the dragon human from the seawater gathered towards him. A faint white halo appeared on his scale-covered fists. Body cultivators absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth by relying on the power and range of the origin force field. Hong Yuntian's body was more than 9 feet tall, and the range was much larger than Lu Kuan's back then. It was easier for him to use the intercept fist. Boom! A pair of dragon claws and a pair of bone-spiked fists fiercely collided. Violent energy surged, and the surrounding seawater boiled violently, forming circles of turbulent undercurrents that rolled in all directions. The golden dragon human staggered and retreated several feet in the turbulent waves. His eyes were filled with shock. What's going on? The demon can actually draw on spiritual chi? This is impossible. The opponent is called the Body Refining Pavilion. Could it be an immortal cultivator who is cultivated to look like a demon? The amount of spiritual chi I absorbed just now seems to have decreased quite a bit. Even the 10th level flood dragons only had the physical strength of 1,000,000 kilograms. In addition, the absorption of spiritual chi of heaven and earth was cut off, and they could not compete with Hong Yuntian's demonic zombie state. Big brother, let me help you. After blocking the thunderball, the red dragon human also came to meet him. Seeing this, the Kuei Cow King waved one hand, and 3 cow hooves, 1 large and 2 small, appeared in front of him and shot out with lightning. Clang, clang, clang. At this moment, a fishbone-like spear and 2 daggers, emitting a faint blue halo, turned into 3 streaks of light and shot over from afar, blocking the black seal. It turned out that the ugly old man had acted in time. He was proficient in water elemental magic, and his power in the sea was equally astonishing. He barely managed to hold the Kuei Cow King back. On the other side, Hong Yuntian and the 2 flood dragons were engaged in a melee. Although he was stronger, and had the powerful physical body of a demonic zombie. The 10th level flood dragons were not much different in strength. The other party fought in the sea like a fish in water, and Hong Yun Tian was soon at a disadvantage. Roar! At this moment, a deafening roar came from the bottom of the abyss. Large amounts of seawater boiled, and countless terrifying undercurrents surged in all directions. When Yuan Jun heard this roar, for some reason, his body felt extremely uncomfortable. He could not help but look down, and his pupils suddenly shrank. That's... Chapter 1233. At the bottom of the abyss, Lu Kuan was floating in front of a group of monster beasts. He was pounding his chest with both hands, and a white halo of ripples surged out from his mouth. The surrounding dense monster chi seemed to have lost control and surged towards these sound waves, automatically adding to them, causing the sound waves to become even thicker. The dozen or so sea monsters that were charging towards Lu Kuan directly collided with these sound waves. Their expressions were filled with fear. Whether they were in monster beast form or in human form, they all stopped in the water, unable to move. Their hard scales and thick demonic spiritual energy shields were unable to defend against the pressure. Their bodies were trembling slightly, as if they were withstanding an enormous pressure. Some of the sea demons even had blood flowing out from the gaps between their scales. Lu Kuan looked at this scene and did not take the opportunity to pursue. His eyes surged with a fanatical look. With so many monster beasts in human form, it's a good opportunity to test the power of that magical ability. As this thought flashed through his mind, a primordial monster beast aura spread out from his chest. The power of blood chi was as vast as the sea, accompanied by an extremely brutal will surging within his body. The hair on his skin turned black at a speed visible to the naked eye. His delicate skin gradually became rough, and his face distorted, turning into the appearance of an ape. However, the thick muscles under his skin shrank inwards in an unimaginable manner, as if a large amount of muscle fibers had been extracted. Even the blue veins on his body became barely visible. At the same time, his 6 feet tall body began to grow in reverse, shrinking inch by inch. 5 feet, 4 feet, 3 feet. In the blink of an eye, Lu Kuan turned into a mini monkey that was only 1/3 of his original size. He was 2 feet tall, and his pair of giant arms occupied more than half of his body. He looked a little comical. While he was transforming, the sea monsters in human form regained control of their bodies and looked at the scene in front of them with a strange expression. Was this guy a human or a monster beast? If he was a human, what was that terrifying monster beast bloodline? How could he transform into a monster beast? But if he was a monster beast, his body should be larger than a human's. How could he shrink? The mini little monkey looked harmless no matter how one looked at it. The sea demons were stunned for a moment. Suddenly, the seawater behind Mini Monkey blurred, and nearly 100 terrifying auras of magic treasures surged up. Mini Monkey's little figure disappeared like a black bolt of lightning. Its speed was so fast that it could not be captured by the naked eye. Only a vacuum line appeared in the pitch-black seawater. A level 9 fish demon at the front of the sea demons immediately felt a great sense of danger. This feeling was even more terrifying than the tribulation back then. Its face was filled with fear as the demon's spiritual energy in its body surged. The fish bones on its face turned into light blue flying needles and shot forward like a storm. On the surface of its half-human, half-fish skin, a thick layer of blue scales appeared. The dense flying needles soon hit a slightly blurry mass of seawater. A mini monkey could barely be seen shuttling back and forth among the flying needles at an incredible speed. The fish demon's eyes widened, but before it could take a closer look, a pair of small fists with black fur and a faint silver glow smashed into its head. The terrifying power surged, and the scales on its body could not stop it at all. Its head, which was full of fish bones, exploded into a cloud of blood mist. Then, a cloud of gray powder poured in from the severed head. The headless corpse trembled, and turned into a 6-foot-long fish body with sharp spikes on its back. It disappeared in a flash of light, leaving a 2-foot-tall little monkey floating in the air. From the appearance of Mini Monkey to the death of the level 9 fish demon, only 2 or 3 breaths of time had passed. Many of the weaker sea demons were still slightly numb. Lu Kuan grinned and rushed toward another half-human, half-shrimp level 9 sea demon. Seeing this, the latter let out a cry of anger and was about to retreat, but then it felt an invisible force squeezing its body. The gentle seawater seemed to have turned into solid ice, imprisoning it in place. The surrounding sea demons who wanted to help were also blocked by the invisible force in the seawater. Before they could do anything else, Mini Monkey had already crossed the distance of several feet. Its tiny body raised a small fist and fiercely slammed into the abdomen of the demonic beast. A violent force surged forth. The red scales on the surface of the shrimp demon seemed to be somewhat hard. Although there were cracks, it was not as weak as the fish demon. Ayo! The shrimp demon let out a painful cry. Taking advantage of this gap, its hands turned into 2 3-foot-long giant pincers, shining with rich sea demon spiritual energy, and fiercely clamped down on Mini Monkey's waist. Crunch, crunch. As if the pincers were clamping on a piece of hard metal, the black-furred monkey's body emitted an ear-piercing sound of friction, and a fierce splash of water burst out. Boom! The scales on the shrimp demon's waist and abdomen held on for a moment before completely shattering. The pale silver fist mixed with a terrifying force blasted a hole in its abdomen. The shrimp demon seemed to be struggling on its deathbed. The strength of the pincers increased explosively, and a small wound appeared on Mini Monkey's hard skin, revealing the twisted muscle fibers underneath. Chance! Although the surrounding sea demons were frightened by Mini Monkey's terrifying speed and attack power, they were still powerful sea demons after all. The surrounding sea demons took advantage of this opportunity and launched a frenzied attack. In an instant, all kinds of magic treasures that looked like fish bones, fangs, and the tail of a knife were blasted from all directions toward the tiny body trapped in the pincers. Violent energy surged in the bottom of the sea, and the surrounding seawater that was solidified by the invisible force directly evaporated. A terrifying undercurrent mixed with colorful spiritual light surged endlessly. With so many sea demons attacking at the same time, the pressure produced was incomparably terrifying. Even a level 10 sea demon would not dare to take it head-on. However, before the energy calmed down, a tiny figure scurried out from inside, as if it had not suffered any damage from the attack just now. Lu Kuan rushed towards the surrounding sea demons, his monkey eyes flashing with excitement. This state was the new ability that he had recently comprehended, the Devil Ape's miniature form. The bone treasures in his body could be enlarged with the support of Demon Chi. With the characteristics of the Silver Dragon Meteorite, he could also shrink. Back then, old Demon Pang's natal blood demon sword had been infused with this special material, which allowed it to instantly shrink into the size of a flying needle, greatly increasing its penetrative power. Lu Kuan had long been able to shrink his bone treasures. However, by doing so, the starting and ending nodes of his muscles would also shrink. He needed to shrink his muscles with the flesh and blood condensation technique to unleash the power of a human's body. With the loss of muscles, the power of the body would be greatly reduced, and there would not be much combat value. Not long ago, when he and Hong Yintian were discussing the secret bloodline technique, his control of the devil ape transformation became more precise, and the shrinking of his body became useful in combat. Now that he was in the form of a miniature monkey, he had already used the devil ape transformation technique. However, he controlled the power of his bloodline and used the energy of the true demon to support his muscles through the bloodline ability. He did not use it to enlarge his body. In this way, the consumption of blood essence and the true demon was reduced to an extremely low level, and the duration of the technique was greatly extended. At this time, he used the characteristics of the Silver Dragon Meteorite to shrink his bones. Although the number of fibers in his muscles had decreased due to the compression of his flesh and blood, with the support of the Devil A transformation technique, his physical strength was still not weak. After Lu Kuan's adjustment, when his body shrank to 1/3 of its original size, combined with the Devil Ape transformation, his physical strength could reach 1.5 million pounds. If he shrank any further, the radiation range of his physical strength would not be able to absorb the chi of heaven and earth. With such a terrifying power condensed into a 2-foot-tall miniature body, the explosive power and speed of his attack were raised to a whole new level. Although this state could not pose a threat to a divine transformation stage existence, it was very suitable to deal with a large number of shape-shifting Yao cultivators. The resistance of the seawater was greatly reduced due to the shrinking of his body. With the combination of his physical strength and the bone treasures in his body, his speed was almost doubled compared to before. Shape-shifting Yao beasts were generally larger in size, so it was easier for him to dodge their attacks with his miniature body. Otherwise, no matter how strong his defense was, being attacked by 20 to 30 sea demons in turns would consume a lot of his blood essence. At this moment, he was shuttling between the sea demons at an astonishing speed. His tiny fist contained an even more terrifying power, and with the support of the chi of heaven and earth, almost no Yao beast below Class 10 could withstand it. Yuan Jun, the Golden Dragon Man, was fighting with Hong Yuntian while looking at the scene below. He felt a chill run down his spine. Even his divine sense could not keep up with the speed of the miniature monkey, let alone those sea demons with lower cultivations. At this speed, the human wave tactic was useless. Seeing the 2 rank 9 sea demons being killed, he hurriedly roared, "You bunch of idiots, don't try to attack. Form a square formation and combine your sea demon's spiritual energy for defense." Hearing this, the sea demons below reacted in horror and quickly gathered together. 7 or 8 sea demons that did not participate in the battle in the distance also hurriedly flew over. After paying the price of another 4 Class 8 sea demons' deaths, the remaining Yao cultivators finally gathered together. Dense Yao spiritual chi linked together and formed an extremely dense spiritual chi shield. Half of the Yao beast divine abilities were on their physical bodies, but in the face of Lu Kuan's miniature devil ape form, they pathetically transformed into their human forms and used their dantian and meridians to activate the immortal cultivator's defensive spirit light to protect themselves. The combined Yao spiritual chi of more than 20 shape-shifting Yao cultivators could already absorb a large amount of chi of heaven and earth. Every time Lu Kuan attacked, the depleted shield would be continuously replenished by the Yao spiritual chi. It cannot be broken in a short period of time. He raised his little monkey face and looked in the direction of the 2 dragon men. His figure flashed and disappeared on the spot. Not good. Seeing this, Yuan Jun's expression changed greatly. Chapter 1234. Yuan Jun watched the battle below. To be able to kill a Class 9 demon beast in an instant, the little monkey's attack power was probably at the peak of Class 10. Coupled with that terrifying speed, this kind of strength, he looked at the disappearing Lu Kuan. His abdomen wriggled, and a pale yellow bead gushed out from his throat, stuck between those sharp teeth. The red dragonoid seemed to understand something. It did not continue to attack Hong Yuntian. Instead, it flashed and appeared behind Yuan Jun. Roar! The golden dragon head had a small bead in its mouth, and it let out a loud dragon roar. Rings of light yellow sound waves spread out at an astonishing speed and contained a terrifying will that could make people go crazy. The will of frenzy. Hong Yuntian's expression changed, and he quickly retreated, standing in front of the Kuei Cow King. A layer of pale, silver, flowing light quickly appeared on the surface of his purplish-black scales, and when the will collided with it, ripples spread out. However, this dragon roar was not targeted at him. Most of the sound waves rushed down the abyss. Soon, the figure of a mini monkey appeared in the dark sea. The two sides were less than 100 feet apart. In such a short time, the little monkey had crossed hundreds of feet. This speed was too terrifying. What's going on? The will of frenzy can't affect him. Yuan Jun quickly realized that the mini monkey only paused for a moment. As if nothing had happened, it continued to shoot in his direction. He quickly mobilized the rich demonic spiritual energy in his body. At the same time, he activated a rich flood dragon bloodline. The bead in his mouth lit up. Accompanied by a cryptic dragon incantation, it spat out a yellow ball of light. As soon as the ball of light appeared, the chi of heaven and earth in the surrounding sea became excited and gathered. On the surface of the ball of light, it condensed into mysterious runes, exuding a terrifying aura unique to the manifestation of Yuan Qi. The speed of the ball of light was astonishing. As if it had a tracking function, it turned into an arc and crashed into a tiny figure wrapped in blurry sea water. Boom! A terrifying aura surged in the sea water. Rings of Yuan Qi rippled in all directions. The spiritual energy shield formed by more than 20 sea demons at the bottom of the abyss trembled violently. The demonic beasts inside were horrified. If they hadn't joined forces to defend themselves, they would have been seriously injured by the aftershock. At the same time, all the demonic beasts within 1,000 miles felt the terrifying aura. The sea demons in the outer sea seemed to have understood something, and their eyes revealed complicated expressions. How is this possible? This fellow can withstand an attack at the level of Yuan Qi manifestation. Yuan Jun's dragon eyes widened as he looked at the astonishing scene below. Waves of terrifying chi and blood energy surged from the body of the mini monkey. The muscles on its body rapidly swelled up, as if countless pythons were coiling around its body. Under the power of the Yuan Qi light ball, these muscles constantly melted and recovered, allowing the Yuan Qi light ball to release on the surface of his body. It was as if they were relying on the endless recovery power of the flesh to resist the power of the Yuan Qi manifestation. Yuan Jun couldn't believe the scene in front of him. The demon's spiritual energy in his body surged as he continued to chant the incantation. The bead in his mouth lit up again. But at this moment, a purple gold giant axe suddenly appeared in Hong Yuntian's scale-covered palm. A ball of purple-black liquid containing brutal thoughts flowed from his arm into the axe handle. The light purple Yuan Qi axe blade appeared outside the giant axe. Under the power of more than 1 million pounds, it emitted an astonishing pressure and slashed towards Yuan Jun's golden dragon head. Water of the true demon. Demonic weapon. Yuan Jun had to stop chanting. The bead in his mouth flickered, and a circle of yellow spirit light spread to the dragon claw. A large amount of Yuan Qi of heaven and earth gathered, forming a solid yellow and white claw outside, blocking the front. Boom! A wave of Yuan Qi, second only to the previous one, rolled. The violent sea water hit the surrounding steep walls of the abyss, and the cracks in the seabed rocks were completely shattered. The other two level 10 existences of the 5 dragon seas and the Kuei Cow King had to defend with all their strength. But even so, they were still blown away by the aftershock. Under the impact of the turbulent energy, Hong Yuntian also retreated more than 10 feet. He felt the trembling of the purple gold demonic axe and sighed slightly. After all, there was no demonic qi here. Although he borrowed some demonic Yuan Qi from the water of the true demon, the special environment here made the power of the demonic weapon weaker than the Yuan Qi manifestation. Yuan Jun looked at Hong Yuntian, who was holding the giant axe, and his face was extremely ugly. The bead in his mouth was the dragon origin bead refined by the Swanee Dragon King, which contained his willpower and true Yuan. Huahong Academy with the power of his bloodline and his special incantation. He could activate this treasure and use the supernatural powers of the Demon King level. The Ball of Light, which had the power to manifest Yuan Qi, was the strongest attack he could use. It was equivalent to his father attacking personally. However, this ability required casting time. Yuan Jun originally planned to use a second one. Who knew that the demon monster in front of him was not afraid of the frenzy, and even took out a demonic weapon to attack. After this moment of delay, the Yuan Qi manifestation level ball of light below was about to dissipate. Mini Monkey's body looked intact. Damn it! Are these two immortal cultivators human? One is not a demon, the other is not a demon, and they both have a trump card against the Demon King. This body refining pavilion is too scary. Seeing that Mini Monkey had consumed the power of the ball of light, Yuan Jun gritted his teeth. His dragonoid body flashed and retreated. Then, a round yellow ball of light enveloped him and the other two level 10 existences. Mini Monkey's speed was almost unbeatable, and he had the help of an expert who could use a demonic weapon. Although he could rely on the dragon bead to resist, fifth sister and third uncle were in danger. At this time, they could only focus on defense. After a while, Mini Monkey appeared more than 10 feet away. Looking at the Yuan Qi shield outside his body, he did not attack immediately. When Yuan Jun saw this, he caught his breath and said, "Master Lu's ability is astonishing. This humble one admires you. I wonder what benefits the flood dragon of the outer sea promised to invite an expert like you. My 5 dragon seas can give even more." Lu Kuan maintained Mini Monkey's appearance. His eyes narrowed into slits as he said, "Ao Chun promised the blood of a true dragon. Can you give it?" Yuan Jun was slightly stunned. Then he understood. So, Master Lu is also here for this item. However, although the flood dragon of the outer sea has declined, it is still very arrogant. Even I, a member of the same race, am not willing to give up the blood of a true dragon, what more a human. How about we work together? As long as we can capture Ao Chun, this humble one has the means to extract the blood of a true dragon from his body. Then we could divide it equally. Master Lu, what do you think? Lu Kuan smiled faintly and said, "Lu also has the ability to extract the blood of a true dragon. Your 5 dragon seas should scram. There's the ability to extract the power of a bloodline." Yuan Jun looked at Lu Kuan and Hong Yuntian's strange physical bodies and could not help falling silent. If it were in the past, if someone told him that a human could extract the bloodline of a fiend, he would definitely slap that person to death. However, although the two before him had the body of a human, they had other bloodlines in their bodies. Perhaps they really had such ability. Yuan Jun looked at the essence barrier around his body and composed himself. Master Lu's ability is astonishing. However, this Yuan has the dragon essence pearl that Royal Father bestowed upon me. Together with my many clansmen, I am already in an undefeatable position. If we continue like this, the flood dragon of the outer sea will be the fisherman who benefits. Lu Kuan sighed softly and said, "Yuan Jun, you might not be clear about one thing." "What is it?" As Xiao Chun spoke, the qi and blood in Mini Monkey's body surged again. That insignificant body swelled up inch by inch. Lu Kuan's voice slowly rang out. If that Bion Dragon King was here, it would make sense to say this. However, you, a little flood dragon, dare to contend against Lu with just a treasure? Lu Kuan's voice was still a little soft at the beginning, but towards the end, it had already turned into a roar. The surrounding seawater surged violently. His body had already grown from 2 feet tall to 15 feet tall, becoming more than 20 times larger. A giant ape the size of a small mountain appeared in the abyss. It had thick black hair and incomparably thick arms on both sides. Its entire body was filled with the bloodline aura of a superior being. This is a long-armed giant ape. No, black hair. Could be a long-armed demonic ape. Yuan Jun looked at the scene in front of him in a daze and muttered. Previously, he hadn't been able to recognize the miniature monkey's appearance. But now, with such a striking pair of huge arms, a rich bloodline aura, and that terrifying roar, he immediately thought of the long-armed demon ape that his father had mentioned. Just as Yuan Jun was in a daze, an invisible force spread over, and the surrounding seawater instantly solidified. In the next moment, the incomparably huge ape's palms wrapped around his Yuan Qi light shield. A large amount of Yuan Qi of heaven and earth surged over, forming rings of Yuan Qi that covered the ape's palms. A terrifying pressure spread out from above. The sea demons below stared at this huge ape with their mouths agape. The bloodline and demonic spiritual energy in their bodies were trembling. This terrifying pressure was even more terrifying than that of the Bayan Dragon King. Yuan Jun's eyes flashed with fear. He could clearly feel that the Yuan Qi of heaven and earth on his Yuan Qi shield was slowly dissipating. This aura, how is it possible? Royal Father clearly sensed that the Yuan Qi of heaven and earth in the southwest cultivation world was in an ownerless state. How can this guy have the strength of a demonic king? Feeling the creaking and flickering Yuan Qi shield, Yuan Jun shuddered. Master Lu, please wait. If you kill me, Royal Father will not let you off. After saying this, Yuan Jun immediately sensed that the palms outside had stopped. He hurriedly continued. The 5 Dragon Seas is willing to swear an oath and leave immediately. Master Lu, please give us a way out. A rumbling voice came from the huge ape's mouth. For the sake of the Bayan Dragon King, I can let you go. However, you have wasted so much of Lu's time. No matter what, you have to leave something behind. Leave something behind? Yuan Jun thought of something and his face turned pale. Chapter 1235. In the sky above the huge plaza in the Abyss Dragon Palace, a blue image flashed. A huge black ape was holding a yellow barrier with its hands. When the 10 or so sea demons in the plaza saw this scene, they all fell silent. They had been watching the battle earlier. Even though they were separated by the restrictions of the Abyss Dragon Palace, they could still feel the terrifying pressure of a fiend king. Ao Chun, who had the body of a leopard and the head of a dragon, looked at the huge ape and muttered, "It's actually a long-armed demonic ape. How can there be remnants of such a terrifying bloodline in this world? Long-armed demonic ape? Patriarch, what kind of demonic beast is this? Is it also a long-armed demonic ape?" When the surrounding sea monsters heard this name, they couldn't help but look at Ao Chun with some doubts. The latter took a deep breath and said, Ao Chun took a deep breath and said, "I once heard from my father that during the Great War of the Demon Race, the long-armed demonic apes were besieged by a large number of demon race experts. They suffered disastrous losses, and those who survived were imprisoned. The demon race wanted to transform them into demonic beasts for their own use. However, the demon race didn't expect that the transformed long-armed demonic ape would break free from their control after entering the Fiend King realm. It even displayed an unparalleled ability and heavily injured the demon race. Not long ago, that terrifying roar was the ability that made the long-armed demonic apes famous, the sky-piercing roar. It is said that as long as one's physical body is weaker than the opponent's, they will be frozen. If the difference is too great, their body might even shatter. When the surrounding sea demons heard this, they all thought of the scene from not long ago. The 10 or so transformed sea demons couldn't help but tremble when they heard the roar. The huge whale sea demon was silent for a while before saying, "Aside from the sky-piercing roar, the other party also has a special body transformation ability. The speed of the mini monkey is faster than any of us. There is no way for us to escape." His lantern-like eyes flashed with worry. "Patriarch, if he has been on the blood of a true dragon." Ao Chun slowly shook his head and said, "Don't worry. Aside from the blood of a true dragon condensed by my father, there is actually another place in the sea that has it. There is still the blood of a true dragon." When the other sea demons heard this, they all revealed shocked expressions. Aside from the old Dragon King, they had never heard of a true dragon in the sea. The demonic spiritual energy within Ao Chen's body surged as his figure began to distort. Soon, he turned into a handsome man wearing a brocade robe. "Ao Jing, you will follow me out later. The rest of you will guard the restrictions of the Dragon Palace and listen to my orders." "Yes, Patriarch." In the deep abyss, Lu Kuan and Hong Yintian had already returned to their human forms. They looked into the distance. The sea demons of the five dragon seas had formed a huge demonic fog that swam rapidly towards the north. Soon, they disappeared into the pitch-black waters. Hong Yintian retracted his gaze and turned towards Lu Kuan's palm. Clumps of silver blood were gushing out from there, slowly wrapping around a pale yellow ball. He frowned and said, Lu Kuan, this dragon origin pearl only contains the frenzy will and the Dragon King's true essence. It also doesn't contain the Swanee's blood. Not only will it be useless for you to obtain it, it will also expose your location to the Dragon King. Lu Kuan rubbed the pearl in his hand and said, the five dragon seas will only truly leave if we lose the Demon King's trump card. As for this thing, I would like to study it. Besides, even if the Swanee Dragon King comes, we can still escape unscathed. There is no need to be too afraid. Hong Yintian thought for a moment and said, that's true. We spared the 3 level 10 flood dragons, so we didn't have a death feud with the 5 dragon seas. However, will this dragon origin pearl really help you? Lu Kuan nodded slightly and said, this thing's material is a bit like bones and fascia. It should have been nurtured by the Dragon King's body. At the same time, it stores the frenzy, will, and true essence. Perhaps it will be of some help. The Kuei Cow King stood behind the two. Hearing their fearless tone towards the Swanee Dragon King, he couldn't help but shrink his neck. Now, this level 10 bull demon firmly believed the rumors from the outside world. Master Lu indeed had the strength of a soul formation cultivator. He then looked at Hong Yintian. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have imagined that a human cultivator could transform into a demon and use a demonic artifact so easily. If he was in a place where demonic chi was abundant, the strength of this grand elder of the body refining pavilion would most likely be at the soul formation level. Master Lu has a half-demon body with the bloodline of the great long-armed ape. Could it be that this elder Hong is similar to a half-demon, except that he fused the demonic bloodline into his body? Did Master Lu come this time to absorb the blood of a true dragon and take care of 2 top-tier demon bloodlines? But as far as I know, there's a great conflict between these 2 top-tier bloodlines. Just as the Kuei Cow King's imagination was running wild, the restrictive shield of the Dragon Palace below suddenly shook. In the position facing Lu Kuan and the others, a medium-sized gap opened. A handsome man in a brocade robe and a giant man in gray armor who was almost 6 meters tall flew out from it. I am Ao Chun, the leader of the Flood Dragon tribe in the Outer Seas. Thank you, Master Lu, for your help. A clear voice came from the handsome man's mouth. Lu Kuan's hand flashed, and he put away the dragon origin pearl. He flew down with Hong Yintian and the Kuei Cow King. When they were not far away, he exchanged a few words and directly said, Leader Ao, Lu has done what he promised. Hand over your true dragon's blood. Ao Chin's expression was hesitant as he said, well, to be honest, not long ago, I made a mistake in my cultivation. The true dragon's blood has completely dissipated in my body. Lu Kuan's expression darkened. Leader Ao, are you saying that you want to go back on your word? Ao Chan felt the seawater around them gradually solidifying and said seriously, of course not. Father only left a trace of the true dragon's blood. Even if there was more, it couldn't be extracted. However, I dared to agree to Master Lu's request because I know of another place that has the true dragon's blood. Lu Kuan snorted coldly and said, then why didn't your father go look for it when he was still alive? Ao Chin's expression was sorrowful. 200 years ago, Father fought with the senior from the Spirit Transformation sect. They fought all the way to the Outer Seas and accidentally broke an ancient seal. From there, he sensed the aura of the true dragon's blood. Unfortunately, after the battle, Father was seriously injured and on the verge of death. After exhausting his true yuan and blood essence and leaving behind a trace of the true dragon's blood, he disappeared. There was no chance to look for it. Lu Kuan stared at him and said, then why didn't you go? If you could obtain more true dragon's blood, your chances of breaking through to the demonic king realm would be higher. Ao Chun smiled bitterly and said, Master Lu might not know this, but that place is enveloped by a layer of proud will unique to true dragons. I'm unable to enter at all. Previously, I heard from the Kuei Cow King that Master Lu has a magic skill that can resist the power of will. You should be able to enter easily and search for it. That is why I dare to agree to this deal. If Master Lu does not believe me, I can sign a contract. Lu Kuan's expression was somewhat angry. Although he had expected that the other party would not hand over the true dragon's blood so easily, he did not expect this fellow to directly say that he did not have it. Xiao Qin thought for a moment and said, Naturally, we have to sign a contract. However, before that, Lu wants to check your bodies to see if there is any true dragon's blood left. When Ao Qin heard this, a somewhat humiliated expression flashed in his eyes. However, when he thought of the other party's strength, he took a deep breath and said, All right, how will Master Lu check? Lu Kuan stretched out his palm, and a drop of silver blood condensed on it. Then it slowly floated forward and said, Very simple. You just need to let Lu's blood enter your bodies and circulate it for a while. Ao Chun looked at this drop of blood and could sense the strong qi and blood contained within it, as well as the aura of a true dragon's bloodline. After hesitating for a moment, he opened his mouth and swallowed it. After that, he felt this drop of blood split into countless blood threads and enter his various blood vessels and meridians. The unique bloodline in his body seemed to sense something and started churning violently. A large amount of fiend qi surged out of his body and turned into the image of a strange dragon beast with the body of a leopard and the head of a dragon. It held a short sword in its mouth and looked extraordinarily mighty. A strong bloodline power spread out. When Hong Yintian saw this scene, his pupils constricted, and he said, This is the Yazi bloodline. Chapter 12:36. In the depths of the sea, a blurry image of a ship sped across the seabed. Beneath this layer of concealment was an enormous, dazzling flying boat. It was over 60 meters long and 50 meters wide. Every piece of spirit material used to construct the boat was full of spirit aura, and they were all carved with profound patterns of formation. The side of the ship flickered with faint blue spiritual light. It seemed to be using some special magic ability to draw support from the surrounding seawater and travel at an astonishing speed. There were 10-odd human-shaped demonic beasts in the flying ship. Some were controlling the formation while others were on guard. Lu Kuan stood at the front, his eyes flickering with a golden light as he observed the flying ship. Hong Yintian had his eyes closed as if he was studying a cultivation technique. Ao Chun, the chief of the Flood Dragon tribe, stood at the side and spoke to Lu Kuan. Behind him stood Ao Jing's huge body, which was close to 6 meters long. This dragon whale beast was carefully observing the surroundings and acting as a guard. After using so many precious spiritual materials, your dragon ship is equivalent to a small, mobile dragon palace. The sea region is so rich in resources. Is Patriarch Ao really willing to give up on such a large foundation? Ao Chun sighed and said, Most of the sea demons in the outer seas have already submitted to the 5 dragon seas. Furthermore, that old swan and I will be here soon. Although there is no true dragon blood, my Yazi beast bloodline is still very attractive to it. If I remain in the outer seas, even if I do not die, I will be imprisoned. When my bloodline matures, it will strip me of my body and I will not be able to make a comeback. Speaking up to this point, Ao Chun looked at Lu Kuan with a strange look in his eyes. However, I did not expect that Master Lu would not have any interest in my bloodline. Lu Kuan glanced at this flood dragon and said with some regret, Patriarch Ao's Yazi beast bloodline has just appeared and is too rare. Even if Lu extracted it, it would not be of much use. There's also no time for it to mature. It would be better to make friends with it. If you successfully enter the Fiend King realm, you might be able to help Lu in the future. When Ao-chan heard this, he shook his head and said, "Easier said than done. Even if one has sufficient bloodline energy, the chances of breaking through are not high. Master Lu is probably making a loss." Lu Kun didn't say much. His hand flickered and a scale appeared. He asked, "Let's talk about the location of the true dragon blood. The location you gave me is in the Great Maelstrom? I've only heard of this place from the Kuei Cow King. It's densely packed with spatial cracks and mixed with demonic chi and cold yin chi. Could it be related to the ancient war?" Ao-chan nodded and said, "That's right. During the war 70 to 80,000 years ago, the place where the large whirlpool was a continent that spanned tens of thousands of kilometers. It was also the spatial stronghold of the underworld insect race and the demon race. Land? Could it be that the great battle back then had sunk tens of thousands of li of land?" Lu Kuan looked astonished. Hong Yuntian, who was meditating at the side, suddenly opened his eyes and said, "I have also heard that during the early stages of the war, there was a battlefield in the sea. However, I did not pay attention to the details. Does your Flood Dragon tribe have any records? I didn't think that there would still be cultivators who remember the deep sea battlefield." Ao-chan felt somewhat astonished. He recalled and said, "I have also heard from my father that the underworld insect race was the main force of the war. The strength of the demon race was average. However, as more and more demon race invaded, there was a rift between them and the underworld insect race. The immortal cultivators and the sea race took advantage of this and launched a great war. In the end, they used a terrifying array to completely shatter this continent. Not only did that battle eliminate the main forces of the underworld insect race and demon race, it also destroyed all the spatial nodes. The spatial storm that was created stirred up the seawater and formed a giant whirlpool with a diameter of tens of thousands of kilometers." When Hong Yintian heard this, he sighed and said, "Unfortunately, the main spatial node of the demon race was on land. Otherwise, that battle could have ended the invasion of the other races." Lu Kuan listened to the conversation of the two while examining the scale in his hand. On the map inside, there was an oval whirlpool mark. On the southern side of the whirlpool, there were two long and narrow black lines. It was very strange. He asked curiously, "The Great Maelstrom is a whirlpool formed by a spatial storm. Then what are these two black lines?" Ao-chan explained, "That is the Dead Soul Sea region." Dead Soul Sea region? The remnant spatial cracks of the Great Maelstrom will have demonic chi and cold yin chi from another world. In order to prevent the sea region from being polluted, the ancient cultivators laid down a vast array. They used the spiritual energy of the sea region to suppress it and prevent the foreign energy from spreading. The black lines that Master Lu saw are the Dead Soul Sea region created by the array. There is no energy there. The Dead Soul Sea region and the Great Maelstrom have divided the sea region into two parts. The eastern part is the Five Dragon Sea and the Outer Sea region. Lu Kuan pondered for a moment and said, "From the looks of it, the Great Maelstrom is filled with the power of the whirlpool. There's also a large amount of spatial storms. I'm afraid it will be very difficult to enter." Ao-chan said, "Even outside the Great Maelstrom, the power of the whirlpool is abnormally strong. Only Class 8 demonic beasts can resist it. The deeper you go, the stronger the power of the whirlpool. Even my father can only go halfway into the Great Maelstrom." Lu Kuan looked at the mark on the map. The place with the blood of a true dragon was a few hundred miles inside the Great Maelstrom. It could be considered as the border region. He thought of the spirit swallowing worms he encountered many years ago and raised his eyebrows. The Great Maelstrom has cold yin chi and demonic chi. There should be many powerful demonic worms and demonic beasts in the border region. Ao-chan nodded and said, "That's right. That's why there are very few sea tribe members that get close to the Great Maelstrom. My father and that soul formation cultivator only found that secret place by chance. According to his speculation, that place might be an ancient dragon tomb." Lu Kuan raised his eyebrows and said, "Ancient dragon tomb? The remains of a true dragon are buried there?" Ao Chan said. The prideful aura emanating from that place is much purer than my father's. It is very likely that it is the corpse of an ancient true dragon. Lu Kuan looked into Ao Chen's eyes and said slowly, I hope you are not lying to me. Ao Chen smiled bitterly and said, Master Lu, we have already signed a contract. If there is no true dragon's blood, I will suffer a backlash for my soul. Why would I do something like digging my own grave? Lu Kuan nodded gently. The contract was signed using the stone of the Mountain of Vows. Naturally, there would not be any problems. He had already checked all the flood dragons on this ship. There was no true dragon's blood. There is no reaction from the Mountain of Vows. The ancient dragon tomb should be real. I hope that my deduction is correct. Absorbing a powerful bloodline source can strengthen the blood in my body. If I can enter the late stage of bone transformation, that ability will have new changes at this time. Ao Chen looked at the surrounding sea scenery and slowly said, Pavilion Master Lu, if you continue heading northwest, you will reach the Great Maelstrom. I will bring my clansmen to find a hidden sea region to cultivate. Let's part ways here. All right. See you again. See you again. Lu Kuan did not say anything else. He cupped his hands and left the dragon ship with Hong Yuntian. The danger this time is finally over. Seeing the two disappear from the range of his divine sense, Ao Chen's expression finally relaxed. Ao Jing, who had been vigilant all this time, also let out a sigh of relief. This dragon whale beast whose strength was second only to Ao Chen muttered, These two humans are quite easy to talk to. They really let us go. Ao Chen's hands flashed with seals and laid down a layer of soundproof restriction. He sneered and said, This Master Lu just wants to use us. Use us. Ao Jing did not understand. Ao Chan said, For the true dragon's blood, Master Lu offended the 5 dragon seas. However, if he reveals the Yazi bloodline, the old Bian will definitely focus on me. If he kills me and takes the Yazi bloodline, the conflict between him and the 5 dragon seas will be even greater. If he lets me go, it will be the same as placing a nail in the back of the 5 dragon seas. Immortal cultivators are indeed not good people. When Ao Jing heard this, his expression turned unsightly. Ao Chen's eyes flashed with coldness as he said, I, Ao Chen, am not easy to bully. Actually, Royal Father discovered the ancient dragon tomb long ago. However, the true dragon's blood inside has already become filthy. Even Father wouldn't dare to touch such a bloodline. I'm afraid Pavilion Master Lu will have to return empty-handed. Ao Jing, go control the dragon ship. We will head to the West Sea Domain at the fastest speed. Yes, Patriarch. Chapter 1237. The sea map that Ao Chan had given him had the characteristics of the seabed. The sea was several hundred kilometers deep and was beyond the reach of divine sense. Therefore, after Lu Kuan and Hong Yintian left, they had been swimming underwater. The invisible force field around them was adjusted to a conical angle. Their feet stepped on the sea water as they advanced. The water behind them was like 2 white tails of flame, shuttling back and forth in the dark sea. For a physique cultivator who possessed soar strength, the speed in the sea was not much slower than in the air. As they went deeper into the sea, Lu Kuan and Hong Yuntian encountered fewer and fewer sea demons. There were even many places that were filled with ordinary sea creatures. After passing through a barren sea without any spirit chi, a vast and boundless wall of pale white light appeared in their field of vision. We've arrived. This should be the ancient restriction that surrounds the great whirlpool. The two arrived outside the restriction. The white light in front of them was incomparably thick. Mysterious runes flashed from time to time. Even if Lu Kuan used his GoldenEye divine ability, he could not see through this layer of light. He could only see the incomparably dense spirit chi inside. It's somewhat similar to the 9 Revolutions formation. It relies on pure spirit chi to isolate foreign energies. It also seems to have borrowed some kind of trapping restriction. Hong Yuntian used his divine sense to investigate. With his knowledge from ancient times, he could roughly see some of the mysteries. Lu Kuan stretched out his hand and probed into the light. Then he felt a strong restriction force surging towards him. He raised his eyebrows and said, "It has at least the defensive power of a mid-nascent soul realm expert. Moreover, this restriction is abnormally thick. Even if the two of us work together, it will be difficult to break through it. Let's go. We'll follow A.O. Chen's instructions and enter the great whirlpool from the sea surface." Hong Yuntian nodded. The seawater outside his body surged, creating a circle of water as he shot upwards with Lu Kuan. Rumble. As soon as they emerged from the sea surface, a deafening roar came from ahead. The two of them looked over. Even though Lu Kuan and Hong Yuntian were very knowledgeable, they were still shocked by the scene in front of them. The layer of restriction light in the sea did not leave the sea surface. From the calm surface of the water, they could see a misty white expanse that extended for hundreds of meters. Lu Kuan could not imagine that this kind of restriction light, which was comparable to the Great Forbidden Formation, would be so thick. And on the other side of the white seal, there was an endless sea of endless waves. They surged in a single direction, and countless waves slammed against the edge of the white seal, emitting endless rumbling sounds. Lu Kuan and the other nascent soul stage cultivators could barely detect that the direction of the surging seawater was slightly curved. It was not hard to imagine that the boundless, turbulent seawater had formed an unimaginably huge whirlpool. Hong Yuntian scanned the sky above the great whirlpool and said slowly, "Although the great ancient master cast a spell to isolate the great whirlpool, there is still Yin Qi and devil Qi seeping out. The Qi of heaven and earth in the immortal cultivation world is no longer pure. Even if there is a real immortal transformation stage cultivator, the great whirlpool's great whirlpool is weaker than the great whirlpool's great whirlpool." Lu Kuan heard this and murmured, "I wonder how strong a body cultivator in the immortal transformation stage can be." Hong Yuntian snorted and said proudly, "Of course not weaker than the immortal transformation stage cultivators in the immortal cultivation world. The mixed chi of heaven and earth in the immortal cultivation world has no effect on us. The strength of a body cultivator can only be stronger than a traditional immortal cultivator." Lu Kuan smiled and looked around. Suddenly, his eyes flashed with confusion. The spiritual chi in the air near the great whirlpool is extremely thin. There is almost no chi of heaven and earth. Could it be that the old Dragon King wants to fully utilize his physical strength, so he lured Senior Yin into the great whirlpool to fight? Hong Yuntian curled his lips and said with disdain, "The physical strength of these Dragon Kings is at most the same as yours and mine. What kind of strength can they use? I think that the Flood Dragon is lying to you." Lu Kuan smiled and said, "Lu doesn't care how the ancient dragon tomb was discovered. As long as the blood of the true dragon is real, it is fine." After he finished speaking, his figure flashed and flew forward. Hong Yuntian followed closely behind. The two of them passed through the white seal and plunged into the turbulent sea. As soon as they entered the sea, they felt a terrifying impact surging from the water. They adjusted their origin force fields to separate and weaken these impact forces. They even used the changes in their force fields to turn these resistance forces into power to dive down. In the dark gray sea, the two of them released their divine sense. Other than the demonic chi and the cold Yin Qi, there was nothing in the sea. There were no living creatures. After swimming for more than 400 miles, the scene at the bottom of the sea entered their vision. The seabed here was different from the other sea areas. It was all made of rocks. Under the impact of the two types of energy and the fierce currents for tens of thousands of years, it had become extremely hard. There are some beetle creatures in the rocky seabed. They are emitting a faint cold Yin Qi. They should be some kind of weak netherworms. There are also demonic beasts. Other than the worms, Lu Kuan also found a few demonic beasts similar to pangolins. The gray armor on the surface of their bodies contained the cold yin qi, but the demonic qi was flowing inside. These demonic beasts actually have a means to use the cold yin qi to condense something similar to corpse qi armor. Interesting. Han Yuntian's slightly dignified voice sounded. It's just some Foundation establishment stage creatures. There are spatial cracks ahead. Focus on using your spirit, divine ability. Lu Kuan nodded. A light flashed in his hand, and a scale appeared. His eyes also lit up with a pale golden light. He looked at the sea map while searching. Although they knew the location of the Dragon Tomb, there were no landmarks on the map. It was not easy to find. Somewhere deep in the bottom of the ocean of the Great Whirlpool, there were numerous rock tunnels. Inside each tunnel, an enormous worm that was nearly 60 meters long was squirming. They had a glass-like rock armor, a body as thick as a millstone, and a pair of coral-like antennae in their bloody mouths full of sharp teeth. In front of it, there were many gray ants the size of fists. They raised their huge jaws and gnawed at the hard rocks. As these ants moved, the worms behind them would emit a devouring force from time to time, absorbing streaks of black spiritual light from the rocks. In one of the tunnels, there was a fat ant about 10 feet long covered in chitin armor. Its body exuded a huge cold yin qi. Below the fat ant was a small worm about 10 feet long. Above the mouth of this colorful worm, there was a pair of small eyes. An incomparably tyrannical divine sense gushed out. Nether Ant, in a few months, we will be able to break through that restriction. At that time, you and I will temporarily merge our spiritual chi and reach the Insect King level for a short time. Then, we will be able to retrieve the sacred object here. The fat ant's antennae swayed slightly, and an equally vigorous divine sense fluctuated. Devouring Spirit, I want to ask again. Is there really a sacred object here? Recently, I have felt some pure demonic chi. This feeling seems to be the existence of the true demonic pool. The worm's small eyes blinked twice. Nether Ant, didn't I tell you before? In ancient times, this was the place where the demon race and our race studied the true dragon. Back then, Lord Insect King wanted to transform the bones of the dragon race into a zombie-like existence, becoming a corpse dragon. The demon race also wanted to refine it into a demonic beast, using the native demonic beasts of the immortal cultivation world to adapt to the yuan qi of heaven and earth here. Since our race's sacred object is here, then it is possible that the demonic pool of the demon race will appear here. What's so strange about it? The Nether Ant's antennae trembled slightly. Although it had heard the spirit-devouring mother insect mention it many times, it still felt a little strange in its heart. There was a sense of irritation, as if some kind of danger was about to approach. The worm seemed to have sensed the Nether Ant's emotions. An undetectable look flashed across the depths of its small eyes. Its tone was slightly solemn as it said, "It is filled with the pride of a true dragon, and its spiritual pressure is comparable to that of the Insect King. We alone cannot withstand it. Even if we merge our spiritual chi, if we are not careful, our spiritual chi may be severely damaged. Nether Ant, your thoughts are in a mess. How can you successfully use the spiritual secret technique?" The Nether Ant's compound eyes glanced at the fat insect under its feet. A hint of suspicion flashed across its eyes. It was silent for a moment, and then slowly said, "Don't worry. Once we break through the restriction, I will concentrate and cast the technique." That's right. After a while, the passage gradually quieted down. Only the crunching sound of ants gnawing on the rocks could be heard. Chapter 1238. Finally found it. Lu Kuan's divine sense sensed a seabed dozens of miles away and showed a little joy. Hong Yintian heard this, and his divine sense followed the direction. It was a seabed of more than 10 miles, surrounded by a circle of slightly raised rocky hills, only more than 20 feet high, barely encircling a small valley. In the valley, There was a circular dark blue water circle, which was exactly the same height as the surrounding hills. Under the surging sea water, it surrounded the mountain and covered the scene in the valley. Hong Yuntian's divine sense wanted to continue probing, but then he felt an extremely strong sense of pride coming from the blue circle of water, making him have the urge to bow down and worship it. He quickly withdrew his divine sense. What a domineering willpower! That dragon is right. There must be the blood of a true dragon here. Lu Kuan narrowed his eyes and scanned the surroundings of the small valley. Slowly said, "There are many insect creatures near the dragon's tomb. After getting close to the dragon's tomb, we can't release our divine sense. Be careful." Hong Yuntian nodded. Facing the willpower of a true dragon, his expression became a little dignified. A layer of pale, silver blood gushed out of his body, covering under his skin, forming a silver blood membrane layer. In order to ensure that Hong Yuntian's demon zombie state could be maintained for a long time, Lu Kuan had already given him enough essence blood, waiting for his true demon bloodline to be completed. Then he could rely on his own blood to resist the willpower. As the two approached, they found that under the blue water circle, on the rocky ground of the valley, there were small holes, and a stream of dark blue water gushed out of them. These water streams, under the turbulent impact of the whirlpool, gradually gathered together and rotated in the valley, forming a natural water restriction. Lu Kuan couldn't help but think of the smart demon valley, and a little doubt flashed in his eyes. Strange, why didn't these water streams leave the valley? Is it like the smart demon valley, where the Dragon King still has his consciousness left, controlling the arrogant to protect himself? Just as he was pondering, a seemingly ordinary rock beneath him suddenly exploded, and a black beetle that was no less than 70 feet long rushed out. Its 16 pairs of insect legs slid quickly, and its 3-meter-long jaws fiercely clamped forward. Oomph! Hong Yuntian's eyes turned cold. A layer of purplish-black scales appeared on his body. He ignored the sharp teeth on both sides of his body. Instead, he moved forward. His right index finger and middle finger were put together. A layer of conical vortex was floating on top of them. He poked at the opponent's mouth. Clang! A crisp sound rang out as the huge teeth of a pair of scissors clamped onto the scales on Hong Yuntian's waist, causing an ear-piercing splash. Poochie. As for Hong Yuntian's finger, it went into the beetle's mouth. A powerful, penetrating force flashed past, and the black beetle's mouth exploded with a cloud of light green blood mist, shattering a few of its teeth. Immediately after, the great elder of the body refining pavilion, who was over 5 feet tall, rushed into the insect's mouth, and a violent power surged within his body. The black beetle let out a painful roar, and its 16 pairs of legs twitched incessantly. Not long after, the shadow of a mini beetle flew out of its body in horror. However, the surrounding seawater blurred for a moment. An invisible force spread out and smashed it into pieces. The beetle's body completely stopped twitching. Immediately after, the body of the nether insect, which had the pressure of an early-stage nascent soul realm nether insect, shrank strangely. Its body shrank from 60 feet to 40 feet. A moment later, a small hole appeared in its shriveled abdomen. Hong Yuntian's figure rushed out, holding a grayish-black nether core in one hand and the dead insect's body in the other. He smacked his mouth and spat out a large cloud of light green blood and flesh. He said with some regret, "The flesh and blood essence of the nether insect is a little different. It has little effect on chi, blood, and demonic power. However, the pure cold power contained in the nether core is a little helpful to my cultivation." Lu Kuan's mouth twitched. He had forgotten that Hong Yuntian was a ruthless person who had swallowed the flesh and blood of demonic zombies. Part of his demonic zombie body was a zombie body. When he encountered a nether insect of the same race, he naturally had to try swallowing it. It's just an 8th-level nether insect. Its physical body is not as strong as Brother Hong's. Hey, there's so many high-level nether insects here. As he spoke, The rocks below shattered one by one. Nether insects of different sizes rushed out from the ground. There were more than 10 of them, all of whom had the aura of 8th level or above. There were even a few that were 8th level. Very good. Let's see if the flesh and blood of the 8th level nether insect is helpful to cultivation. Then, the two tiny figures began to fight against the numerous netherworms. Damn it, how did this guy chase us all the way here? Deep in the rocky seabed, the spirit-devouring queen bug's small eyes were filled with fear. Through the nether insect it controlled, it recognized Lu Kuan, who was fighting in the sea. The nether ant's divine soul was also fluctuating. Some of the nether insects outside were creatures of the abyss of death and had some of its mind energy. They could also sense the situation of the battle. It said in disbelief, "Did the guy from the body refining pavilion chase us all the way here from the abyss of death?" Spirit Devouring observed the battle outside and said, "It's been almost 100 years. If this guy wanted to come, he would have come long ago. His goal seems to be the forbidden land of corpse dragons. Could it be that this person has entered the soul formation stage and can resist the prideful will?" The nether ant said with a serious tone, "I met him 300 years ago. This guy was only in the core formation stage back then, but he could soak in the true demonic water and ignore the true demonic will. Now, his cultivation is even higher." Spirit Devouring heard this and its fat body twisted. If that's the case, this guy can enter the forbidden land from the front. Damn it, the underground seal took us decades. We're about to break through. The nether ant's compound eyes flashed. No, this is the last holy item we know of. Spirit Devouring, the only thing we can do now is to sacrifice a small part of our mind energy to stimulate the potential of our people and break through the seal quickly. There are still many nether insects controlled by the mind energy in the Forbidden Land. They can help us hold on for a while. Spirit Devouring's eyes flashed with hesitation. Thinking that it had to rely on the holy item to break through, it gritted its teeth and said, "All right." After the two finished their discussion, waves of invisible mind energy surged into the bodies of the spirit-devouring insects and ants around them. The insects' eyes all glowed red as if they had entered a berserk state. Their digging speed increased dramatically. At the same time, outside the Dragon Tomb Valley, Lu Kuan and Hong Yuntian suddenly felt the aura of the nether insects around them increase greatly. Not only did their physical strength increase, but even the yin energy in their bodies increased by a notch. Boom! Hong Yuntian was in a half-human, half-demon state. His hands surged with 400,000 kilograms of strength, but he was sent flying by a beetle with a giant claw. His eyes flashed with surprise. Lu Kuan, the nether insect tribe, has the ability to unleash explosive power. The yin energy of this level 9 nether insect seems to be supported by some special energy. Its power is comparable to that of a grand cultivator. At this moment, Lu Kuan had just clashed with the tail of another level 9 nether insect. He could not help but stagger. He looked at the crack on his fist. He could even see the silver bone inside. He was also surprised. This feeling is like a nascent soul stage cultivator in the heaven and earth Yuan Qi. Is it related to the environment of the Great Whirlpool? Damn it! Hong Yuntian looked at the enemies surrounding them. His eyes shone with a bloodthirsty light. A deep demonic aura spread out from his body. He turned into a 9-foot-tall demonic zombie. The surging power of the void forced the nether insects back. He joined up with Lu Kuan. There's only yin energy around. There's no heaven and earth Yuan Qi. We don't need to fight. Let's just charge into the Dragon Tomb. These guys will definitely not be able to resist the corrosion of the prideful intent. All right. The nether insect around them had increased in strength. Although the two of them were not afraid, there was no need to waste their chi and blood for nothing. Lu Kuan's body shone with a shocking light. He stood back to back with Hong Yuntian. The two of them spun rapidly. 200,000 kilograms of source force fields intertwined and turned into a huge silver cone-shaped vortex. In just 10 breaths, 7 or 8 nether insects were sent flying. They rushed out of the swarm and plunged into the layer of blue water outside the Dragon Tomb Valley. The boundless prideful intent rushed at the two of them. Lu Kuan used the divine sense concealment technique and was not affected at all. A layer of silver blood essence armor appeared outside Hong Yunqian's scales to resist the prideful intent. This layer of blue water was dozens of feet thick. Other than the prideful intent and the powerful water flow, there were no other restrictions. After they passed through, they entered a brand new place. The seawater suddenly became very calm. The two of them were not used to it. What dense demonic chi! Lu Kuan stepped on the grayish-black rocky ground. He was surprised. Golden light flashed in his eyes as he observed the surroundings. Behind him was a deep blue water flow. In front of him was a barren rocky seabed. In addition to the cold yin chi, there was also dense demonic chi flowing in the seawater. In his field of vision, the most eye-catching thing was a few miles away. There was a huge pit that was close to 100 feet wide. It seemed to contain an endless suction force. The blue water in the sky gathered into a huge water column and fell into the deep pit. Lu Kuan had some understanding in his heart. It was the powerful suction force emitted by this pit that caused the valley to form such a closed restriction. Hong Yuntian looked at the huge pit in the distance and said with a strange expression, "My demonic zombie body is actually throbbing. There seems to be something special there that is attracting me." Lu Kuan turned his head and found that the scales outside Hong Yuntian's demonic zombie body were trembling slightly. Something is attracting the demonic zombie body? Wait! Before he could finish his sentence, his expression suddenly changed. Spiritual light flashed in his hand, and a gray stone saber appeared in his hand. It was 1 foot wide and 4 feet long. A layer of stone powder was falling off the saber, revealing the vibrating blood-red saber. What's going on? The Demon Dragon Blade is also that you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.